You damn right. Hope everybody's having a good Thursday. March is almost done. That means the Final Four is just a little bit closer. We'll start getting into that a little bit today. Football is always on our brain around here. Longhorn fans, how about 16 days until the spring game? NFL freaks, it's 28 days until the draft. And I found a 7-round mock draft we're going to nerd into here in just a few minutes. And the first Longhorn game, it's not that far away, 156 days from now. Texas cranks it up with Steve Sarkisian, with the new haircutted Quinn Ewers, all those receivers. And you hope, if you're a Longhorn fan, some blocking and tackling that will make you think that conference that's coming up, that you'll be ready for that. A lot going on this Thursday. It's Chad and Zay. I'm Chad Hastings, joined once again by Isaiah Collier. He's getting ready for the Final Four, even though his team is not in it. What's up, Zay?
What up, Chad? Or as the Detroit people say, what up, though?
What up, though?
What up, though?
Oh.
Like D-O-E.
Like
what up, though?
What up, doe? D-O-E? Is that just a generic term? What up, doe?
Oh, man. Yo, people were getting on you for saying Meek Mill yesterday. Were you saying Meek like meal? Like
It's
food, dinner?
No, it's Meek Mill, right? Like
Mill.
like a mill at the old mill?
Yes, that's what it was.
Okay, my bad. If I was saying Meek Meal, I
Yeah,
didn't
I
mean
think
to do
they were
that.
just trying to roast you because, you're a little corny sometimes.
Because
That's all right.
I appreciate you saying a little.
Just a little bit?
Thank you. Meek Mill. Got to go mill on
Yeah.
that. Yeah, right.
I didn't hear a difference, so you good with me.
That's how I wrote it. When I wrote it down about him and Robert Kraft and Lamar Jackson, I wrote Meek Mill. I may have said meal, and I apologize for that, so I'll get my vowel correct there. We do not have that interesting a story about Lamar Jackson today. We do have one that we're going to start with. It's just that, with all due respect, this former NFL player is not quite as cool sounding as when you say that Meek Mill went to Robert Kraft and said that Lamar Jackson needs to be a Patriot. It's not quite that cool of a story. But we'll get into that, some NFL stuff here. We'll get into some NBA drama at 12:30 because it's there all the time. It is there all the time. We got some people mouthing off in the NBA. Kyrie Irving is probably taking it even farther than maybe some Mavs fans had dreaded that he would. Kevin Durant was back last night for Phoenix. A lot of stuff going on there. We'll get our normal visits at 105 with Jeff Howe. One more visit with Brandon Lang. Start digging into the Final Four with him. Our last visit with Brandon before football season. That's coming up. The Flex segment has an interesting update today. We got the album swap discussion coming up at 2:30. I can't wait to hear what Zay thought of Back in Black by AC/DC. And I'm going to hit the Iron Man album from Ghostface Killah. That's at 2:30. So we got a lot to do. Let's jump right into it. Zay, you are the one that brought this one to my attention. If we could, I'd like to have a weird Lamar Jackson story every day until he signs somewhere. Every day until this is figured out. I need a strange Lamar Jackson story. So yesterday it was the Meek Mill story. Today we get a weird Bill Belichick being thrown under the bus story by a former player. This one kind of surprised me.
Yeah, it is a little surprising, especially when you go to war with a franchise and you're somebody like Asante Samuel, who went to war with those guys in New England during the glory days. Like, he has some titles under his belt. I know you reminded me of him mucking up that interception.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Asante, where if he catches that one pass and everything else stayed the same, Brady'd have 8 today, because I think that was the first one that the Giants won. All he has to do is pick it off. They kill the clock.
Well, a lot of us are thanking Asante Samuel for that, because 8 for Brady, good grief.
Oh, my God, can you imagine?
Yo, Jane Fonda be losing her mind. That's an awful movie, by the way.
You saw it?
No, I'm just saying that's an awful movie.
Oh, how dare you insinuate it's an awful movie.
Come on.
All that high power acting talent, you don't know that's a bad movie for sure, do you?
Like Gronk and Jane Fonda, flirting and stuff. How cheesy can we be? Let's be a little bit more original.
All right.
Anyways, Asante Samuel, he just flat out said on Twitter with this whole Meek Mill, Robert Kraft thing, and Robert Kraft saying it's Bill Belichick's decision if we go after Lamar Jackson or not. We do have a quarterback that we like a little bit. He is a little odd, that Mac Jones, but we like him enough, especially on this rookie contract. We really like him. with what Lamar Jackson's asking for. So Asante Samuel, former cornerback, not the son, you gotta say senior,
Right.
Asante Samuel Sr., he just flat out said on Twitter, Lamar Jackson, my brother, trust me, you don't want to play for Belichick.
Wow.
Just like that.
Come on, Asante.
Just like that. And look, we get it. Bill Belichick, he could be a stick up the butt. He could be a little stiffler. He's not the coolest guy, but he wins. Now, a lot of people will say if he didn't have Tom Brady, how good would he have been? You always need players to be a good coach at the end of the day. But still, Bill Belichick, he knows what he's doing a little bit. And do I think that would fit? Absolutely not. And I think that's where Asante Samuel's getting. Like, yo, Lamar Jackson, you won't be able to be you. And we know Bill Belichick and just how New England Patriot way, like my way or the highway. Remember, like they turned Randy Moss out. They low-key got Randy Moss the ESPN job. Like, talk about polish. Think about the Randy Moss before he went to New England. Completely changed.
That's fair.
Completely changed.
And that was a hell of a season they put together,
Oh,
too.
hell of a season.
That's the one we're talking about where they almost finished
Randy
it
Moss was fake mooning in Minnesota against Lambeau Field and stuff. Randy Moss was wilding. Went to New England, completely different person. So that's not that bad. It's just some guys, they don't want to change that much. Some guys are too prideful to go about that, and they don't want to swallow their pride for the greater good. Maybe they think they're the greater good. Obviously, Lamar Jackson thinks very highly of himself.
Sure.
This is why we're here, still talking about him. But if you want to win, we're just talking about a winning standpoint. If you're Lamar Jackson, why wouldn't you want to go play in New England and be coached by a guy who coached the greatest quarterback of all time? Because don't you want to strive for that, Lamar? So if I'm Lamar Jackson, I'm not going back at Asante Samuel via Twitter, but I might hit him up on a text like, look, bruh, you know the situation I'm in. I appreciate what you're saying, but if that were to happen, hey, we'll see. If they pay me the right amount that I'm asking for, well, maybe I'll take it, but I just can't see that happening.
Between Lamar, his mother, Meek Mill, whoever it is, everybody needs to not comment on that because he's finding out pretty quickly that there's not a lot of interest. So you're really telling me that if Bill Belichick and the Patriots were interested, he wouldn't be? That's crazy. That's crazy. But the issue there is, you've said it yesterday, are the Patriots willing to spend the money he wants to have spent? And oh, by the way, what else do they have to do other than spend the money? They have to send 2 first-round draft picks to John Harbaugh. Do you really think Bill Belichick wants to do that?
Nah.
Because he has to. Otherwise, he would have to do it that way. And the only way that part changes would be if Baltimore signs him, if they get into a discussion about, once we get past, say, July 15th, 17th or whatever, and if they don't, get a long-term deal done, you sign him to a long-term deal. Then he wouldn't sign the franchise tag. Then all that first-round draft pick stuff, that would go away. You get your own deal together, then you could call up other teams and figure out some kind of trade. Like you're signing him, but then you'd have to get them to agree to trade. But yeah, it is weird that we've had two straight stories now with New England, and what they might want to do here. If you're a Patriots fan, do you want to go Mac Jones and give that a try? Continue to give that a try, or would you consider Lamar Jackson? Because they just watched the weird thing where Cam Newton was kind of hanging out for a little bit, but it's a very different story than what Lamar Jackson would obviously bring. Because Cam would have been MVP, but way back MVP, and banged up, bad shoulder MVP.
Right.
Lamar's just the guy that, like you've talked about, we've both talked about it, where those NFL windows just don't get hit every time they need to get hit. That's the thing with Lamar. They just need to, and he's been pretty good, if not really good at times, from inside the pocket. He's been a pretty good pocket passer. It would just need to be tweaked up a little bit. Belichick and that crew could do a hell of a job with him.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing with Cam Newton, when New England got him, he was worth and got paid what he was worth then. All the money that Lamar Jackson's asking for with the risk, you hear Arthur Blank talking about it, like he knows more than just wood and hammers. The man was speaking that knowledge when he said there's a risk with Lamar Jackson. He's been hurt these last 2 years, and now he wants all this guaranteed money.
Yeah.
And Lamar Jackson, he went back and reneged to say, I don't want all that guaranteed money like Deshaun, but there is a certain amount that I want. And now a lot of teams are just disinterested, plus talking to him straight up, like not dealing with the agent like you should be dealing with. It's just a big mess. And hey, I think that he's just going to end up being on the tag with the Ravens, and he's going to have to figure out, does he want to stick in Baltimore and play under the tag and have to see those same faces that he's seen people who
that he's been kind of ripping on.
Yeah, he's been ripping on. Well, or people that he feels like.
Yeah, he said goodbye to him, too.
Yeah,
That's
straight
the
up.
thing.
How petty is that?
He has basically pinned his goodbye letter.
The city? To the city.
Yeah, bye Ravens Nation, bye whatever it is, right? You guys have been great. It's been awesome. He's doing the farewell wave, and then he's turning, and there's not anything there right now.
So he's basically saying, I'm going to go Le'Veon Bell if nothing happens. If I don't get traded and I'm not on another team, I'm not coming back to Baltimore.
I guess so. And then, at the end of that run, like we saw with Le'Veon Bell, he does, I believe, become a free agent at that point. But then there's a long time you're out, and it did not work out the way Le'Veon Bell probably thought it would work. So we'll keep our eyes, obviously, on that story. But right now, and by the way, no official interest from the Patriots. It's just people running.
People just talking.
People just running their mouths on the side. You got a rapper talking about how Lamar might fit, and now you got a former player saying, "Oh, you don't want to play for Belichick." What got Samuel to do that? Who knows? 2-time Super Bowl champ with the Patriots. Made your name with that team, and for some reason, and he's not the first one. There have been some other guys at times that'll take little shots at Belichick here and there. And, oh, no, you don't want to be that. No, you don't want that. Here's the other name to throw in, Zay, because I tried to remind myself, who's the offensive coordinator again in New England? It's Bill O'Brien. That full circle deal is coming back around. If I am not mistaken here, from January of 23, right? He is going to be the offensive coordinator / quarterbacks coach. So it would be Bill O'Brien trying to figure that out. Does he want to ride with Mac Jones, or would he actually think, well, I don't know, maybe we could figure something out? But it's too expensive. It's too expensive. That team does not spend money that way.
Oh, they're cheap.
I can't imagine Bill Belichick even entertaining the idea.
Yeah. Do you think if this was Hove instead of Meek Mill, Bill Belichick would consider it more?
Are you asking me if Bill's more of a Jay-Z guy?
Yeah. I'm just saying. Well, I mean, Jay-Z has a different, presence than Meek. I like Meek as a rapper, but he ain't Hove.
I've always been a little more of a Rock Nation guy. So, let's consider that. Yeah. Is Jay on the phone? I love him. I really love him. Blueprint 3, better than people think.
Blueprint 3 is good, Bill.
There's some catchy stuff on Blueprint 3.
3 is good.
Catchy stuff. So I would not expect that to happen for sure, but we'll keep our eyes on that. Also in the NFL, if you are a super nerd like me, Zay, would you consider yourself a super NFL draft nerd? Do you get way into this stuff, or do you?
I'll get into it. There's more nerdier than me, though.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good. Have your boundaries. Don't go too far.
Yeah.
But I found a 7-round mock draft at ESPN. This time of year, when we get to, 28 days, yes, I write it down, until the draft, then the first time I see a 7-round mock, a special shiver runs up and down my spine. I get so excited about it. So in this 7-round mock, I thought I would throw out some ideas that they have here. If I was a Texans fan, I'd be pretty excited, Zay. How about Bryce Young at 2, Jackson Smith and Jigba at 12, and with the 203rd pick, Deuce Vaughn.
Okay.
How about that?
I like that.
Deep into the draft in the 200s, Deuce Vaughn. Those are the 3 names that jumped out to me. It also has them getting, some different positions. I won't go through every single thing, but an offensive lineman from Ohio State, an O-lineman from USC. The last guy, they have him taking Mr. Irrelevant, an edge guy from Florida, at 259. That apparently is how many picks we'll have this year. But more and more, Zay, at the very top, I am seeing people mocking C.J. Stroud to Carolina. I'm wondering if could it be a smokescreen? Could it just be that they want to throw that out there? But maybe Carolina is letting people know, and Frank Reich is letting people know that's where he's leaning. Because I'm seeing more and more of Bryce Young to Houston.
Yeah, it's interesting. You go back and think of what would have happened if Lovie Smith didn't win that last game and they would have got the number 1 pick. What does Houston really want? Because in my eyes, Bryce Young is 1B. Like, I'd take both. I don't think,
Yeah.
you
Couldn't go wrong.
You couldn't go wrong at
Yeah.
all. I wouldn't lose any sleep if CJ Stroud ended up in Carolina if I'm a Houston Texans fan. Now, we know the risk with Bryce Young. He's tiny.
Yeah.
He is a small brother.
You're going to need an offensive line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If I got Bryce Young, I would almost treat it like the Saints did with Drew Brees. I think of it that way. Drew Brees was not an imposing figure at quarterback.
No.
He was on the shorter side of things at quarterback. Not quite as small and short maybe as what they'll deal with Young.
Drew was so good at, like, knowing, okay, this is going to be a sack. I'm going down.
Yeah.
Like, he never took clean shots.
And Bryce will need to do that as well. And from what I'm recalling at Bama, I don't ever remember him taking those Tua shots.
Now,
too many of them.
Now, we say Drew didn't take – he never took shots, yet teams were scared to get him because of his shoulder injury from taking the shot.
That's true. That is
so
true.
It took a while to figure it out. Like, okay, I need to change my approach of how I play because at this size, I might not last. We saw the shoulder injury, and the Saints really did a really good job of protecting him. But CJ Stroud, both of those guys, like CJ Stroud has such a good head on his shoulders, and he's cool off the field. Like, he's cool enough. Like, he doesn't have that Kyler Murray, just an a-hole vibe. Like, remember watching Hard Knocks and Kyler Murray's chilling with the boys and stuff. And just there, he's trying to give them tips and like, you can't be scared, this and that. Like, I'm never scared. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, it's not very encouraging from your quarterback. You're not going to worry about that with CJ Stroud at all. But then you'd be like, yo, CJ, come to the club, come to Vegas with us. And he'd be that dude that would come to Vegas, but also be like, you know what? I'm going to go to bed early. Like, he's that type of dude. Like, he gives you just enough of cool where you're like, okay, everybody can relate to that in the locker room. Yeah. But then he also makes the front office comfortable by how mature he is and knowing that he's going to be a franchise quarterback. Like, he's been poised going to Ohio State, which all they do is put out pros. He's been poised to be a franchise quarterback. So I'm excited to see what he does. I think his arm's good enough. We saw his legs in the semi game against Georgia. Mm-hmm. That's good enough. That's always been a question mark about him. Is he athletic enough like some other guys to, be a top tier 1 quarterback? And I think he is, but just like every QB, you're going to have to put weapons around him. He's going to have a good offensive coordinator, and if he has that, then sky's the limit.
So if you're a Cowboys fan, I'll give you the good news, bad news. Good news, this 7-round mock has the Cowboys taking an interior defensive lineman, a running back, and a tight end. That's the good news. The bad news is I don't know if you've heard any of these names. So Kalijah Cansey, the kid out of Pitt, that's the defensive lineman. Zach Charbonnet at the 90th pick, that's the running back.
So they're taking the Pitt dude, 26? That's what it says?
At 26.
Wow.
Correct. Charbonnet at 90 from UCLA, and Brenton Strange, the tight end from Penn State, with the 129th pick. They got an offensive lineman from TCU going 58th. That's because in this particular mock, they've got Bijan Robinson. As we get to the Longhorns, Bijan going 21st to the Chargers. So remember, we had that mock draft a couple days ago where the Cowboys got Bijan, but they traded up to 19 to get him. So watch that Charger pick, Cowboys fans. 21, Austin Eckler asking for a trade, and there's thought of, well, maybe you pair up. At that moment, some people would tell you, well, Bijan's the best guy right there. At 21, if he's still there, isn't that the best player the Chargers could get? Pair him up with Herbert and those receivers that they already have. Might be an interesting football team. So watch out for that. So Zay Bijan at 21, and then they've got the other 4 Longhorns that went to Indy, all getting drafted. So, and all these would be third-day guys. Coburn, 3rd round to Cleveland. Overshone, 4th round to Cleveland.
All right.
Could be on the same team. The next pick after Overshone, they had Ojimo going to the Jets in the 4th round. And then how about this for value? 4th round, Roschon Johnson, Kansas City.
Whoa.
If you want to slip, that's how to slip. Roschon Johnson, if you are out there, I think you could live with that type of slip. If you end up slipping to that third day. Maybe some people think he's more of a third-round guy. Maybe some people think, ooh, what about second round with Roschon? He's so talented and could do so many things. But if he ends up with a team like Kansas City, Zay, Andy Reid will figure out how to use Roschon Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And he's going to be a steal, whatever team he's on. Just talked about CJ Stroud and his maturity. Roschon Johnson just being the leader for the Longhorns this past 2022 season. You could tell he's going to be a pro and he's going to be a straight up professional, whatever locker room he goes in. And you're not going to have to worry about him off the field. But on the field, though, the reason why he's getting drafted this late is because he didn't have the reps.
Yep.
That's it.
I think you're right. And I'll throw this name out. We've been talking about him lately. He clearly doesn't have the production at Texas that this guy had. I think he could end up being like a poor man's Priest Holmes, where once he gets there and you start to see him in an NFL set, you go, wait, where'd this guy go to college? And then with him, unlike Priest, you won't be able to look back and find big-time tape. There's big-time Priest Holmes tape at Texas.
For sure.
It's not going to exist the same way with Rojo, but I think then you could look back and go, oh, my God, look at this talent. And then he becomes what Priest was. Productive, maybe not at that level, but productive and a great guy in the locker room, and you never have to worry about it.
Yo, they got Isaiah Pacheco in the 7th round. And he looked like a Pro Bowler at the end of the season.
Yeah, that big bulldog can run.
Straight up.
Yeah.
And I think they're kind of over the Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like, I think they're over that, and they're done with it.
Mm-hmm.
They're seeing what's next. And if Roschon Johnson's there, again, that'll be a flat-out steal.
That is fascinating. So if you want to waste a lot of time, there are 7-round mock drafts out there. I'm just warning you now. Try not to blame me if you get in there, but it would be my fault if you go down that rabbit hole. I did today as well, looking at who everybody's got. So we'll go over that maybe a little bit, but just know it's out there, 28 days away from the NFL draft. We'll also hit some basketball coming up. Last night, Kevin Durant finally in Phoenix, in the Phoenix Uni at home. Didn't get hurt in warm-ups, played the game. We'll talk about that. Mavs lose again, and Rudy Gobert is going off about something. We'll tell you what it is coming up on The Horn. This is Chad. Let's talk a little sinus and snoring specialist. Dr. Slaughter does incredible work over there with sinus and snoring specialists. It is just as simple as how are you sleeping? How are you feeling? Are you snoring? Do you have sinus infections, sinus headaches? Do you have allergy issues? This area is known for the allergy stuff. People will move to the area a year. Are you a year in? Are you 2 years in? Because people will tell you by the time you get a couple years in, you'll develop allergies because of this area that you didn't even have. But that's what's great about sinus and snoring specialists. They can test you for 50 different allergies at once without needles. Find out once and for all, are you allergic to it or not? Are you allergic to something else you didn't even know about or not? They'll figure that out. Then they develop a special treatment that's designed to help you get rid of those allergies for good. And I've told you they added in different things to my allergy drops to help me out. Different things that go on in this area that they know can bother people. The molds in the area and different things. They added ragweed to mine, and there's some different things and dust pollens and you know different things that they put in there that can mess with you in your nose that won't even show up on the skin test. So it's very, very detailed. I love the process, and they will treat you right. Check out Sinus and Snoring Specialist by calling and setting up your appointment today. 512-601-0303. That's all you have to do. Or you can go online to sinussnoringent.com. Be sure to tell them you heard about it here on The Horn. We do appreciate it. Sinus and Snoring Specialists. Feel clear, rested, and healthy.
Chad and Zay.
Oh, dear Lord.
You think he can still perform this?
I do not know.
If he substitute, and says Guardian Outlaw.
I will never forget when this song came out. Based on what's come out since then, it does feel a little different today, but this would be early Tim McGraw.
Real early.
And we're back in the early to mid-90s here, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim McGraw and it's called Indian Outlaw, right?
Yep.
That's the name of the song?
That's the name of the song.
Yeah, they haven't gone after this one yet. That's amazing. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they just said paintbrush. Oh, I love the paintbrush right now. That looks so pretty. And I thought, wow, have we just
for the
flower.
The flower, yeah.
Have we just completely taken that out? Like, it's just, you can't say it? Okay.
I mean, some people are offended.
I don't know, yeah.
You got to say crisscross applesauce instead of sitting,
Right. You can't say Indian style. Yeah, exactly. I know. That's how we grew up. But, yeah, you can't say that anymore. Tim McGraw gets a start. Old school. Tim. That's like, don't take the girl. Tim McGraw. That's way back Tim McGraw. Way before Taylor Swift was writing a song about him. So Tim gets us started today.
Wait, hold up. Taylor Swift and Tim McGraw dated?
No, not dated. She wrote a song about him. That not because they dated.
Okay.
She wrote a song called Tim McGraw.
Okay.
And it's about a dating situation she went through, a relationship that she was going through. It just references him.
I'm about to say, Tim, that could be your daughter. You're wildin'.
Nothing like that. And she had a famous moment on an award show where she sang the song, walked up to Tim and Faith, and introduced herself and said, Hi, I'm Taylor.
That's cute.
It was a bizarre country moment. Let me tell you what. When I realized, hey, I'm old enough where Tim McGraw is an elder statesman of country music.
It always breaks my heart in Friday Night Lights when Tim McGraw, which he kills that role, by the way, when he throws the ring outside the car, the state championship ring.
Oh, yeah. You wanted to go get it, didn't you?
Yep. That's a tough scene. That's a tough scene, man.
They call that acting.
Yeah,
that's big time acting.
He acted his ass off.
Yeah.
Busting the doors.
Somebody said, I can smell the smoke in the bar now. You just took them back. Playing a little old Tim McGraw for him. We got more music coming later on. 2:30 today, we'll do our album swap discussion. Back in Black from AC/DC and Iron Man from Ghostface Killah. At 2:05, we had to move that discussion because we got one more visit with Brandon Lang today. What does he think of the Final Four? Is anybody going to stop UConn, or does he like somebody in that other matchup? Maybe he picking FAU to win it all. We'll see. And Jeff Howe at 105 talks some Longhorn football and basketball. Right now, speaking of basketball, we're going to get into some NBA stuff real quick here. Kevin Durant back with Phoenix last night. Zay, it was good to see. He's back. He was back in his first home game. It might not be good to see if you're a fan of anybody else in the West because that team is weirdly dangerous even when he's not great. So what happens when he knocks the rust off?
That's the thing. That's why they made that trade for him. Even though they went to the NBA Finals a couple of years ago and lost to the Bucks, they know that Chris Paul, he ain't getting any younger, and he can no longer be that number 2 guy. So even though Mikal Bridges is a good player and Cameron Johnson's a good player, they made a hell of a move by getting Kevin Durant, even at age 34. And now Devin Booker, he goes from that number 1 guy that everybody pays attention to the number 2 guy that just happens to have the second best defender on him, which the second best defender usually ain't trying to defend.
Dude.
So KD, like you said, even if he has a tough night, he's getting so much attention drawn to him. Guys like Devin Booker and Chris Paul, they're going to get open looks.
He's creating so much space for other guys. It's like when you have a little kid that loves to go to the park and all they do is run full speed when they get there. That's Devin Booker right now. He's got all this space that wasn't there. And this is a crazy stat that I saw. Since Kevin Durant became a Phoenix Sun, Devin Booker's averaging 34 a game when they're playing together.
See, you think it's because of KD. I think it's because of Bad Bunny. Let's not get it twisted.
Is that it?
Yo, Book's a dog. he's a petty dude. You remember, he's one of Kobe's disciples. He's one of those dudes that like looked up to him. He has that killer instinct in him. And Bad Bunny, one of the biggest sensations in music right now, going out dissing them, talking in Spanish, like it's hotter in Puerto Rico than it is in Phoenix. She know that.
Because
Kendall Jenner, you know how
he's
big
dogging
she
him
is?
out because he's with Jenner now.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool. I can't fight you, but I can take my anger out on the rest of the league. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, KD, it helps, but Book, this is a dude that dropped 70 at 20 years old. Like he's got that dog in him, and now the West being as open as it is, and KD being back, he knows the opportunity.
They are really, really impressive. 8 turnovers for them as a team. They forced 21 from Minnesota last night. Durant didn't score till the second half, ends up with 16, but they are just a clean machine when he's out there. And I'd forgotten. It's been a while since I've seen him play. Kevin Durant makes basketball look so simple.
It's a joke, ain't it?
Just makes it look easy. This is the biggest compliment I can give him as a tennis freak. He reminds me of Federer when he plays. That's how Federer made tennis look and makes tennis look. Makes it look simple. It's not simple. It's not easy. Kevin Durant, everything he can do, the ball handling, the vision, the passing, setting other guys up when he needs to. Yeah, just watching last night with the space that Booker and Paul are provided because everybody has to pay attention to 35, that is a dangerous-ass team when he wakes up. When he really because we know at any given night, Kevin could pour in 40, 45.
Right.
So if he does that and Booker's still playing well, I don't know what you do with him.
Like at this point of his career, he understands that it's very rare that you block his shot. Like you gotta kind of come from the side behind him to do it. That's the only time I've ever seen it blocked. But
if he sees you, you're not blocking.
Yeah, if he sees you, you're not blocking it. So back in his OKC days, his highlights were crazy because he was doing a lot of crossovers and just showing every ounce of his offensive repertoire. Mm-hmm. And now that he's older, being 34 and stuff, and he has these injuries, it's just he's so much smarter. So he's not going to waste a lot of energy and movements. He's not going to do all those 3 crossovers and a whole bunch of step backs. He's going to do one move, get to his spot, and then shoot a fadeaway right over the top that no one could guard.
Yeah.
Nobody. And he's like, okay, you saw that before. Now I'm going to do it to the right. Okay, now you're looking at that. I'm just going to shoot straight over the top from the 3-point line and get in the post and shoot off that 1 foot. All of his moves that are hard as hell, like you said, he makes it look so easy. And when he's in his bag, it's thick. Yeah. It's like you can't find the keys. It's that thick type bag stuff. Like it's crazy. He gets so low on his crossovers. Like nobody's 7 foot should be that low on a crossover ever. That's not a thing. Yeah. And he does it better than anybody I've ever seen at that size.
So he's got 2 rings with Golden State, correct?
Correct.
Okay, at least one of those rings, I felt like he needed credit as the leader because he did. They don't win it without him. I know some of the NBA fans don't want to give him that credit. So let's say those are Steph and that crew, and he just rode along. If he gets one with this Phoenix team, does he get credit for being the leader?
Yeah. I don't think he gets credit for being
the one.
I don't think he gets credit for being the leader. I think if you watch this team, you know it's Devin Booker's team.
Right.
And he just got on. But with the injuries that he's had and barely coming back, if he gets this ring, it will be his biggest accomplishment.
Okay.
All the MVPs, the All-Stars, going to the Olympics, winning the rings with Golden State, it would be his biggest accomplishment, winning it with the Suns, who he's barely played with, who he's barely developed a chemistry with.
They are fun to watch, man. What was not fun to watch last night for me as a Mavs fan was the Mavs losing again. I don't love the matchup with Philly to start with, but they lose. Kyrie Irving did refer to them as a cluster F. He actually kind of did.
He said the F-bomb too?
He did.
Oh, man.
He kind of did it in a playful way, but it was one of those things of we shouldn't be surprised. This is kind of where you thought it might go. Coming up in the crap bag, I'll give you a number to tell you it's even worse than you may think with the Mavs, but they did lose last night. Also, Zay, real quick, back to this Phoenix-Minnesota game because we get a little soap opera out of it. Rudy Gobert from the other side of that game is lashing out at the entire league.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert had some interesting words to say after that Suns game where they lost 107-100. He said, "It's hard for me to think they're not trying to help the Suns win tonight. It's hard for me to think they didn't try to help the Warriors win the other night or Sacramento Kings the other night. It's just so obvious. As a basketball player that's been in this league for so long, it's disrespectful." Rudy goes on to say, "It's BS. It's BS." He doesn't say BS. I'm just trying to
Right.
get kicked off the air.
Yep.
It's not fair. It's really not fair. We understand that we're not the biggest of markets, and we're a team that I think you want to see KD in the playoffs, Steph in the playoffs. You want to see LeBron in the playoffs. Timberwolves are not there yet. We got to keep putting our head down, keep playing through that, and it's frustrating for sure, especially for me.
So one of the things you immediately look at in a game when they do that, when they complain, I immediately go to free throws. As a team, Phoenix got 27, Minnesota got 12. Devin Booker shot 15. Who's the best player for Minnesota? Towns?
I would say Anthony Edwards. If Minnesota wants to be good, it has to be Karl-Anthony Towns, but he just got back from an injury, so I would say Edwards,
All
I
right.
guess.
You know what? Let's do both. Towns
Okay.
and Edwards combined had 5 free throws. Combined for
Yeah.
5 attempts, and Booker had 15. So you tell me if I'm wrong. When I hear guys complaining about that stuff, when they're talking about are they doing this, are they doing that, I immediately go to free throws. Normally there's a free throw disparity that explains it.
Well, obviously, Rudy Gobert doesn't care about taking the vacation in the summer because he's about to get fined that money that he was going to spend on that vacation.
Yes, he
That's
is.
for sure.
Yes.
You know, Chad, we know that superstars are going to get favorable calls. It's been happening since Bob Cousy and the Bill Russell days. It's just what it is. You know, superstars are going to get
Yeah.
calls. They have more superstars than you do. Like Rudy Gobert knows, when he says, especially for me, somebody that's been in the league this long, in his mind, he's thinking he's like that. He should be on that level. Like he should get that respect as a 3-time defensive player of the year. He should get that respect like the other guys. Like, okay, even though I'm on the Timberwolves, I should be getting, or our team should be getting those calls like the Suns, like the Warriors,
Right.
like the Lakers. And
He only
Rudy, that's not the case.
Yeah, he only took 2 free throws in
Yeah,
35 minutes.
Rudy
But you're right,
damn sure ain't that.
he's not that guy.
Neither is Karl-Anthony Towns. Neither is Anthony
Yeah.
Edwards. Anthony Edwards can be that, but I watch Anthony Edwards a lot, and I think he settles a ton. Like just taking jump shots where he can maybe get to the basket. And I also understand it's 82-game season, so you better be hitting that jump shot. Not everybody could be D Wade and drive and fall and get up. And you saw D Wade's career; he was in and out the lineup a lot and sore a lot and injured and stuff. So, you know, you got to take what you could get, but still. Rudy Gobert, you ain't no superstar. Superstar guys get fouls. Is it fair? Not really, but deal with it. That's all it's like. We talked about MJ changing calls, like making guys change calls of saying, that's BS, blah, blah. Really, Michael? Really? You're right. Whistle.
Mm-hmm.
Flip it.
Yeah.
Just like that. Like superstars are always going to get calls, and hopefully in the playoffs, you won't see those types of things.
Yeah,
as much.
Hopefully not. Hopefully that will not be the case. Interesting game last night there with Phoenix and Minnesota producing a lot of angles. We'll keep watching the NBA as we head towards the playoffs. Up next in the crap bag, there is only one team left that can win the national title according to those nerdy numbers. I'll remind you who that is. Plus, if you're a Mavs fan like me, apparently it's way worse than we thought it was going to be. This is The Horn. And if it's a great day for you to be alive, maybe you want to be alive over at Twin Peaks. They got those great lunch combos you may want to go try today. And if you don't have plans for the weekend, let's get you set up. Obviously, the Final Four's coming up Saturday. You'll want to be at Twin Peaks for that. How about tomorrow? Do you dig your bourbon and brews? That's right. The Brews and Barrel Aged Bourbon. They're always looking for the best. Every Friday at the Bourbon and Brews Party, 5 to 7, you'll experience the lingerie costume party paired with exceptional bourbons, tastings, and giveaways. So get on out to Twin Peaks. They will treat you right. Remember, you got 3 locations to choose from: Eats, Drinks, Scenic Views. Go Stastny, San Marcos, or Round Rock, or maybe all of them. Hit one each day. TwinPeaksRestaurant.com.
Chad and Zay.
This sounds like I should know it. You got a name? What's the name of the song?
Take a bite.
Take a bite. I don't have it, so I'm going to throw out a weird guess. Hanoi Rocks. I have no idea.
Alley Cat Scratch.
Alley Cat Scratch?
Yeah.
Didn't know that was a thing. Alley Cat Scratch. Sounds like a band that might appreciate Poison.
They look like vampires.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Alley Cat Scratch. Maybe one where I go back into the meeting. Okay, let's double check this name. Really? We want to go with Alley Cat Scratch? In fact, Alley Cat's better. Get rid of the word scratch. Why would you put... Right? Why would you put the word scratch in your name? That doesn't make any sense. Alley Cat Scratch and Tim McGraw get us started today. Now that is a good mix to get going. Later on, speaking of a good mix, we'll talk some AC/DC and Ghostface Killah at 2:30 in the album swap discussion. Plus, I think I've got the album Zay's going to need to listen to next week, and he says he may have the album ready for me, too. So we'll see which Wu-Tang Clan album I'll be listening to next week.
Nah, we're done with Wu-Tang.
What? My Wu-Tang education is stopping for a little bit?
Yeah, it's been real.
Okay. It has. I've appreciated it. I feel like I know a lot more. I'm a little more Wu-Tang, competent than I used to be.
Yeah, feeling like a killer bee.
I don't know if I'll go that far.
Okay.
Because we know when I try to sound like I know what I'm talking about, I don't. So I'm just going to hold off on that. But we'll get into some good musical stuff later. Jeff Howe is coming up at 1:05. Jeff, by the end of Light the Tower, was encouraging everybody to send pictures of dead animals that they had killed or seen killed, in the on vacation or in their yards or whatever. So we walked in here to pictures of dead rattlesnakes. Apparently there was an alligator gar discussion and an alligator discussion today. So we may get a little bit of that at 1:05. Jeff was fascinated by all that. So shout out to all those of you that were sending weird pictures earlier. All right, let's get into the crap bag real quick. We'll talk some Final Four, and the news for the Mavericks is even worse than you thought.
Chad's crap bag.
Crap bag. If you need an easy way to remember it, just think of a bag of crap.
Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. Before I get to that holy hell Mavs stat, let me get to another stat. I talked about it right before we got into the tournament. There was this big nerdy thing that ESPN.com threw out for the last 7 years in a row. They've thrown out this list and said, okay, here are the 8 teams that can win the national title. They take out ineligible teams. They take out what they called near misses, which included Texas and a lot of other teams. They took out no clear path, teams that just really didn't have a shot to get through in their opinion. They broke it all down and give you 8 teams. Since 2016, they have been right 7 years in a row that one of those 8 teams wins the title. Here are the 8 teams from this year: Alabama, Houston, Kansas, Marquette, Purdue, Tennessee, UCLA, and there's one, UConn. UConn's still in there, Zay. That's the one. If they're going to get their 8th year in a row, UConn is going to need to win the championship. So this is how they break it down every year, at least this one group of nerds that ESPN is connected with. So we'll see. UConn still technically that team. And for me right now, Zay, that is the question for Saturday and for Monday. It's just not win. Can anybody make it a game with UConn? I mean, they are blowing people's doors off right now. So can you just get them into a game at half, 10 minutes to go in the ball game? Because they are thrashing people right now.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting, their matchup with Miami, because we saw what the Hurricanes did against the Horns, and they spread those guys out, and they made it really difficult for Texas to stay in front of guys. Like, all 5 guys could put the ball on the court except for really Omier, but we know when he goes out the game and Jordan Miller becomes that 5, they're a completely different ball club. So if they go small in that 5-guard lineup against Sanogo and bring him out and he's not down there, cluttering things up, they have a chance because we know they could get hot really fast. Nigel Pack, he's a flat-out shooter. Isaiah Wong's a dog. And then Jordan Miller, Mr. Perfect. When is he going to miss a shot next? I'm pretty sure UConn's going to make him miss a couple of shots. But
Leitner 2.0?
Yeah, right? But he's still going to be rolling in with that confidence for Jim Larrañaga's crew. Chad, when we had Chip on yesterday, he mentioned that this is the championship game. I respectfully disagree with that. I think San Diego State would give Miami everything just because they're so deep, playing 9 guys. They're so big. If we're not talking about Trammell, their point guard, and they're so physical, they could just wear you out. And they got guys, they don't really want to play anybody over 30 minutes, so guys stay fresh, and they're able to wear you out. So the winner of the UConn and Miami game, which that FAU game, that's not going to be an easy one for San Diego State, but still, I think that if San Diego were to move on, I think UConn and Miami could wear themselves out a little bit, getting to the national championship game, and that could benefit San Diego State being so big and physical and the fact that they're able to play so deep.
That's a good way to look at it, too. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, they could absolutely if they play a physical war, then that's a little different. And you're right about San Diego State. By the way, if I didn't say it on the air, you were talking about Creighton all the way back when they played Texas, that shallow lineup that they have and how many minutes he wants to play them. San Diego State was such a bad matchup for them.
Wasn't it?
By the end of that game, the last 8 minutes, those dudes in blue were dragging themselves around. And what's my man's name, the coach? What's the coach of that team?
McDermott.
Creighton McDermott, thank you. And McDermott had this look on his face like, yeah, it got us. It got us. It got us. Yeah, you were absolutely right to mention that. All right, so let me throw this stat out here before we round out the crap bag. Luka and Kyrie Irving. The stat is 2 all-star teammates in season. This is since the NBA-ABA merger. These two are the worst combination ever in terms of winning percentage. They're at 308 winning percentage. 2 dudes in the late 70s in Buffalo, how long ago it was, were at 340. 2 dudes in the early 80s in Seattle, Paul Westphal and Jack Sikma, were at 361. Luka and Kyrie are at 308. When they both play, the Mavs are 4-9. So Mavs fans, it's not just that it's bad, and we all kind of knew it could be bad when Kyrie Irving showed up. Zay, it's been historically bad.
Yeah.
According to some NBA numbers. That's terrible.
Yeah, and it's bad off the court, too, because everybody on that franchise seems to have a bad attitude right now.
Yeah.
From Jason Kidd and his weird pressers. Like, he has a lot of Boeheim in him, just smugness.
Yeah.
And, like, man, these guys should know.
That's a good comparison. That does kind of have that same feel.
Yeah, just like these guys should know what to expect. They're pros, and like me. I was a pro. Like, I was a Hall of Famer. Why don't they get it? I got it.
Here's the other feeling I get. I have this as a Dallas Cowboys fan, too. Maybe the Dallas area does this. I'm to that point. I am to that point with the Mavs that I get with the Cowboys, that I was with the Cowboys in the Romo era, Jason Garrett era. I'm looking for somebody to get mad, and nobody's mad. For all weirdness you could talk about, do you sense anger with anybody? Does anybody truly seem mad? Kyrie is dismissive. Luka's depressed. Jason Kidd is completely apathetic and disconnected. Mark Cuban is griping because he thinks the league's against him. But is anybody really mad at the basketball that's being played? Because I don't feel like I hear anybody getting mad about that.
I would say it'd be Luka, because that depression comes with the anger.
Okay.
Like, we see the anger on the court where he's getting all these texts and cussing out teammates and stuff. And then off the court, it becomes the depression. Because now he's coming down, the adrenaline's not there. He's just like, oh, now I got to get back to American living. I wish I was back home.
I need some locker room anger from him. That's what I need.
We need him to slap somebody?
Not slap.
Okay.
Just get mad. Get mad. Last night, you led at parts of that game. Philly beat you. Why? Because they stop better than you do. They play defense better than you do. They do all the little details better than you do. Do something about it.
Yeah, Mavs are in trouble right now. They're not even in the play-in.
No.
And it's not getting any better, in my opinion.
They're hanging at
It's-
11 right now, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. I just saw an article that said Luka might be one of the worst transition defenders of all time.
Oh, God.
I'm like, yo,
That says a lot.
it does say a lot.
That's casting a wide net, but he's not good.
Like, that's just hustle. Like, getting back on D, you miss a shot, instead of bitching at the refs, you get back on D and help your teammates instead of it being a
Yeah.
5-on-4 advantage.
Absolutely. All right, there's your crap bag. We do it every day about 12:45. Coming up, your 1 o'clock hour, Jeff Howe of horns247.com. Texas football coming up on that spring game 16 days from now. His thoughts on the Texas football team and his thoughts on the end of the basketball season, and Rodney Terry officially getting the gig. Plus, coming up in our flex segment, a big transfer in the 6A ranks. If you love your high school football in this area, you're going to want to be here at 1:30. Trust me, this is The Horn. All right, let's go hour number 2 on a Thursday. Just let the Curtis Mayfield wash over you. We hope you are having a good week, getting set up for that Final Four in Houston on the men's side, in Dallas on the women's side. Unfortunately, no Texas teams there, but you got stories all over the place. Can anybody beat UConn on the men's side? Could FAU or SDSU pull off something crazy? And on the women's side, can we get down to, well, first off, you got a massive matchup with South Carolina and Iowa, 2 big stars with Boston and Clark going head up. But then could it come down to Staley against Mulkey? SEC battle for all the marbles. All that up for grabs. We got a lot of football stuff out there. It is Chad and Zay on this Thursday. I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier. And every Thursday about this time, we like to visit with one of our own. He is technically on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline, even though he's sitting right over there.
Shout out to Vaqueros.
Yeah, baby. That's good stuff over there. You been on Vaqueros lately?
I wouldn't say lately, but the last time I went there, it slapped.
Ooh, it was good.
Yeah, I had it about a month ago. It went crazy.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was great.
Really good stuff. He is Jeff Howe, horns247.com. Check out all the great stuff they've got there for you. We're counting it down. 16 days till the spring game for Texas football. Longhorn Blitz podcast. If you missed it last night, don't worry. We'll get it for you tonight at 7 o'clock after Ball Don't Lie. Jeff, Rod Babers, Matt Butler getting super nerdy on Longhorn football, heading down rabbit holes left and right. And Light the Tower, of course, 10 a.m. to noon, where today Jeff basically became the crocodile hunter. How are you, sir?
We read a story about an alligator on alligator crime from Florida. A lady, she was a bird watcher, so she took a photo of an alligator eating a smaller alligator, which then prompted me to say, there have been various alligator sightings in and around our fair burg. Like there was one on Town Lake, and I figured it's usually people that get alligators as pets and then realize, oh man, I didn't think this thing was going to grow to be a 7 or 8 foot monster, which
because I'm an
they're
idiot.
Alligators, what do you think they do?
Yeah, right.
Which then got us on, because a texter sent in, I think it was Moving Alden on our text line, sent in a picture of some alligator gar he spotted on Colorado River just south of Town Lake.
So alligator gar, we're talking giant fish here.
Yeah, just the
Yeah.
Are those dangerous?
I don't think they're dangerous to us.
Okay.
I think if they bit you, it would hurt like hell. But I always thought
Ooh, I
alligator
bet.
gar were like bottom feeders. But apparently they can go at any depth. I didn't know that.
Can you fry like some catfish?
What do you mean?
He means
Can you fry that
can
thing?
you
Oh,
eat them up?
I don't think
Like
you can
catfish.
eat alligator
Can you eat
gar.
alligator
Zay.
gar?
No, it doesn't look that appetizing.
Might be tough.
But I've
Yeah.
gone down an alligator gar rabbit hole of sorts, and
Have you found out more than you needed to know?
I want to know as much as I can about alligator gar. I'm fascinated now, just like I'm fascinated about feral hogs.
Okay.
And we had stories because then we started talking about, hey, it's snake season, so be prepared. Like CBS Austin or KXAN, somebody's going to do a story in the next couple of weeks about somebody getting snake bit, which then prompted in a bunch of rattlesnake stories and people. Oh, I just killed this snake.
Oh, I
killed
know.
this
I
snake.
saw these pictures. They're sending you all of
Mm-mm.
huge rattlesnakes.
Zay,
Hell
Zay
no.
wants no part of that.
Hell no.
You gotta be careful. Got to be careful when you're raised. Even part of your time in the country, like I was, every time you see me walking around anywhere, I could be in a fast food restaurant, gas station, all cement, wherever I am. I'm always looking 3 feet ahead of me on the ground.
Captain Caveman.
Always looking for snakes.
Captain Caveman on the Specs text line says, yes, you can eat alligator gar.
There we go.
Yeah,
People eat
baby.
gar. All right, Zay, I want you to go down to Town Lake with a fishing pole.
I ain't eat anything out of
I
Town
want
Lake.
you to catch us some gar,
Yo,
and
if-
we'll cook it up.
If my dog can't swim in it, I ain't eating nothing out of it.
That's a good point.
Hey, let me tell you what. If you do catch an alligator gar and could get it prepared to eat, you deserve that meal. That's a tough fish to deal with right there.
Especially if you get one of them like 6-footers or 7-footers.
My goodness.
Those gars are like inside linebackers, man. They go about 6'2", about 230.
Like it's like catching Lawrence Taylor in his prime. Is that what it's like with the alligator gar? All right, so a lot of things we could get into with you today, Jeff. Obviously, football season is rolling up pretty quick. 16 days till the spring game. Where's your focus in terms of Longhorn football? What would you tell a Longhorn football fan today? How you guys hearing things are going?
I did happen to catch Sark's post-practice Zoom. I was actually listening to that before I came in here and caught, I think, about all of it that I needed to catch. The defensive line keeps coming up as the strength of this team. I don't think that surprises anybody.
Mm-hmm.
My thing has been, I talked about this on the show today, my thing has been, it's not so much Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy taking that step to be kind of what Moro Ajomo and Keandre Coburn were last year. That's not a concern. My concern question mark is, can Alfred Collins and Vernon Broughton take a step forward to give you what Sweat and Murphy gave you last year when you could legitimately roll there 4 deep? Now, can you be, legitimately like 6 guys deep like you were last year? If you can, that'd be great. But if you can just be legitimately 4, like be able to platoon, 2 units or mix guys, however you want to do it, that you could have the best interior defensive line. You probably should have the best interior defensive line in the Big 12, which will take pressure off your inside linebackers. It'll take pressure off your edge guys. And the questions at those 2 positions that I have, who's taking over for DeMarvion Overshown, who's going to be opposite of Baron Sorrell in place of Ovie Ogofu, I think that stuff will start to sort itself out if this defensive line is as good as advertised. And so far, it sounds like they are.
Yeah, that's big news. That's great news, Zay, if you're a Longhorn fan.
That
D-line keeps coming up.
I need Alfred Collins to be something.
Yes, you do.
He's just too good looking of a body for him not to be something in his senior year. But Jeff, you talk about the defensive line. The secondary is a little bit of a question mark for me because, we know that they could be good, but we don't know if they're going to be healthy, especially with Jalen Catalon coming along from Arkansas. We know what happened during his tenure there. He was off the field a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's on the field with Jaron Thompson, Anthony Cook, and Gavin Holmes for Wake Forest and Terrence Brooks in there, this could be something special. Who else is going to be able to step up in that secondary that I didn't name just now?
Sark mentioned Keaton Crawford today, and filling in while Jalen Catalon's still recovering from that shoulder surgery. Keaton Crawford's a guy that's been a core special teams guy. He made that move from corner to safety last year, lost out to Jaron Thompson for that starting spot at field safety, but he's been in that boundary safety this spring, and Sark likes the progress he's made. I haven't heard anything negative, which usually leads you to believe that things are going well. It's kind of like a no news is good news kind of thing. So you can, assuming Jalen Catalon gets back and is healthy, you could legitimately have 3 starting caliber guys at safety. On top of the fact that Sark said Terrence Brooks, in his mind, was one of the top performers in the scrimmage situations last Saturday. So you pair him with Ryan Watts at corner, you feel like you're good at corner. We know what Jahdae Barron can do at that star position. So all told, I think you're looking at a secondary that from a talent standpoint, it shouldn't take a step back from where it was last year. If anything, it should take a step forward. And you're starting to get talented depth. I always have the talented depth discussion. And talented depth, like basically go look at, I'll give you one position, and it's probably just because we just talked about it and it's top of mind for me. Go look at the Texas defensive line in 2005 when they won the national championship. Your entire 2 deep ended up playing in the NFL. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about talented depth. Like, can you lose a starter and, okay, it doesn't matter. We're just going to roll with somebody else who's really good, and there's a little to no drop-off. You've got a chance to have that at safety. I think you're pretty much there at defensive line when you talk about talented depth. I think you're probably there at running back. There's a couple other positions that are close, but if you can get there in the secondary, that's light years ahead of where you were in 2021 when, you had all kinds of problems at the safety position and your corners couldn't cover. You couldn't really do anything what PK really wanted to do from a scheme standpoint because you were so limited in your personnel. And that's the other thing I'll say too, Zay, when you the times we've been able to go out to practice and just watch this spring, the body types at corner are changing. And you're really starting to see what Terry Joseph and PK and Sark, what they want in their corners. They want, 6 foot or taller. They want length. They want guys that have some position flexibility, some versatility to them, guys that can turn and run. Like you look at Manny Muhammad and Xavion Bryce. We saw Ryan Watts last year. Terrence Brooks fits into this category. And compare them to like a guy like Deshaun Jameson. As good of an athlete as he is, if this staff recruited Deshaun Jameson, they wouldn't recruit him at corner. He'd probably be a nickel or a safety for them, or maybe even a wide receiver, because they want those big corners who can press you on the line of scrimmage and play press man because that's what they want to do. I mean, that's part of what your pattern match quarters is all about. Eventually, it breaks down and it turns into man coverage anyway. So you got to have guys that can play on one-on-one. That's the other thing that intrigues me about the secondary is just as you're starting to see the bodies change and really starting to see what this staff wants out there.
Talking with Jeff Howe, remember UT Spring game, 16 days away, 1 o'clock on April 15th. We'll have it for you on the horn. Remember,
I can't believe it's that close.
I know, and they're going to fire up the full version, or as close as they can get to Bevo Boulevard that day. I think it's 9 a.m. They're going to open Bevo Boulevard, and we'll get you a little pregame broadcast from 11 to 1 as well.
They're going to serve alligator gar down there on
I don't
Bevo
know
Boulevard?
if alligator gar is there. By the way, Jeff, somebody texted, easiest way to catch gar is putting a line on a bottle and letting it float around. Make sure you have something to kill them with because they will fight.
Okay.
That is the
It's
recommendation.
like a rock or a hammer
From
or
a
something.
listener.
I don't know.
I guess so. Talking with Jeff Howe, let me get some basketball thoughts from you. End of the season, obviously the good news ends up being Rodney Terry did earn this job and got the job, and you were at the press conference and all of that. But let's go back to Texas and Miami. You were there in Kansas City watching it roll out. When you look back and look and ask yourself, why am I not headed to Houston to cover this team in the Final Four? What's the answer?
Let me just say this. That first half, as fluid as the action was, a great Texas crowd, really good turnout from the Burnt Orange faithful. That might be, and knowing the high leverage situation that the Elite Eight is, probably the best in-person basketball viewing experience of my life.
Wow.
Like, honestly, it was that, like, you could feel just how tense and tight everything was.
Mm-hmm.
The second half, not so much, because the officials decided to, instead of monitoring the game, started to involve themselves in the game. And what I really think it boils down to, and this is actually my column. You can still go to Horns 24/7 and get my column on this, because I tried to kind of do part tribute to this team, part why this is where it ended. There was that 8-minute stretch they had where I think it's with 13:29 to go. They go up 13. Tyrese Hunter takes Nigel Pack off the bounce and gets a runner to fall. And then I think it was exactly 8 minutes and 3 seconds later, that's when Omier gets the 3-point play. He gets fouled on that little lob where he catches it.
Oh, that
lays
was
it in.
so weak.
Yeah, and then goes to the line, gets a 3-point play. So you went from being up 13 to down 1 in those 8 minutes. And you just look at it, Texas didn't do anything that during that 7-game winning streak that they've been able to do. They didn't make shots. They were 1 for 9 shooting in that stretch. And the one they had was the lob from the logo that Dylan Mitchell caught and threw down. They didn't make a jump shot during that stretch. They couldn't get stops. Isaiah Wong was not very good for most of the game, but there was like a 4 or 5 minute stretch in those 8 minutes. That's all he needed to be good, and he was really good in that stretch. Uga Poplar kept them in the game. Nigel Pack started to hit some shots, and I think it was just a combination of and credit what Miami did too defensively. I was talking to Jabari Rice about this after the game. He said that was the point where they really started to focus on even times where they would double team and really try to deny him and Marcus Carr the ball. Pretty much once you got past the logo, and forced them to set their offense up higher, get the ball out of their hands, put it in somebody else's hands. So really everything that could have gone wrong for Texas in that 8-minute stretch went wrong, and because there's no other way to explain it. That's how you go from being up 13 to being down 1 at the end of that stretch. And it's like Miami had the momentum, they had it rolling, and you just were never able to recover. But even then, like, the backbreaker was the call against Brock Cunningham on the block out that didn't go his way, because it's a tie game at that point. Then Omier hits 2 free throws, and Miami never trailed again. The game was never tied, and Miami never trailed after that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's tough, Jeff. I'm low-key really tired of talking about it. But anyways, we got to. It's a part of the gig.
No, but I mean, it was a great year, though. I
It
mean,
was.
you
It
make
really
the Elite
was.
Eight, it's a great year.
It really was. But you and I would joke about we should be there. Where our rooms at. We get into the Final Four in H-Town. But, hey, sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way. And
My brother jinxed it. He texted me with about 16 minutes left and said, "Go ahead and make your reservation to Houston." I said, "I'm going to punch you in the throat next time I see you if this goes the other way." And
Oh, so we can
sure.
put a little blame on him too, not just Ty Henderson from
Yeah.
B&E.
Yeah.
It's both of them together,
Mhm.
because Ty literally bought tickets at halftime.
So I owe my brother.
Wow.
I owe my brother a throat punch next time I see him.
yeah, he
Okay.
deserves that.
There it is.
Jeff, let me ask you this, because Coach Terry's already hitting the road trying to recruit these guys. I saw the picture of him and Trey Johnson, #1 recruit in 2024 in Texas, just won a state championship at Lake Highlands, 29 points. He could flat out go. Bringing the team back next year for 2024, I mean, ideally you want Dylan Mitchell back and Arterio Morris, obviously Tyrese Hunter. We know Brock's coming back. And Dylan Dessou, that's kind of the biggest question mark. Both Dylans for me, because Dylan Mitchell, we know the NBA guys love him, but the season he had, not quite NBA ready for me. What
I think a lot of scouts would agree with you.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to in Coach Terry and this coaching staff when bringing players in? Like, do they need to hit the transfer portal more? Because we're seeing a lot of transfer portal guys in the Final Four now, or go to high school ranks, mixture of both. What do you think this coaching staff and Coach Terry need to do for 2024 season?
You'll see a mix because, you're going to bring in A.J. Johnson and Ron Holland. And Ron Holland specifically is really going to change the makeup of the kind of team you can be. The one thing that Rodney Terry's focus has been on since I don't think people understand how involved RT is in recruiting. I mean, to put it as blunt as I can, I mean, when you ask Chris Beard about recruiting, he would tell you, you're probably better off talking to RT because he follows it more day to day than I do. So that's how involved Rodney Terry has been with recruiting since the staff got to Texas. So and then the one thing they've really looked to add is length and athleticism. It's really where they're constantly searching for that. Like, that's like saying, hey man, I really want a 6'7", 330-pound offensive tackle who's ready to go right out of what everybody wants. Everybody wants that, right? It's easier said than done. But they've done that, and Ron Holland is going to give them that in spades. So you bring the two high school kids. Of the returners that have a chance to come back, there's 3 that I'm concerned with, and only one of them you mentioned, Zay. Dylan Dessou has a legitimate decision to make. Does he start a professional career, or does he come back for one more season? I really think Arterio Morris, Tyrese Hunter, Dylan Mitchell, I think those guys are going to be back. I haven't heard anything different that would contradict that. I really feel like those guys, if you had to ask me for an answer right now, I think those guys are going to be back. The other two, what happens with Rowan Brumbaugh and what happens with Alex Enumekwe? Because I think depending on what happens with those two guys, that is going to determine, okay, how many guys do you need to go get in the portal along with Dessou? If Dessou goes to the portal, you're probably looking at needing to get 2 bigs instead of 1. It's already challenging enough to get 1 big that can fit your style of play, but to be in a position where you got to find 2, Zay, that's not that easy to do.
It ain't.
And then I think what you're looking for, assuming everybody else comes back as planned and you don't lose Enumekwe, who I think could be, kind of a small ball 4 for you, be an energy guy. Take some of that role that Christian Bishop had this year as kind of your energy effort guy off the bench. And then Brumbaugh, we really haven't seen Rowan Brumbaugh because he redshirted this year. So that would be, add to your guard mix. But I think you would need to add, we talked about the bigs, 1 or 2, probably somebody in that Timmy Allen mold who could be, kind of a stretch 4, maybe even a small ball 5 if you want to have that kind of guy. I think just somebody to give you some front court versatility. And then I think for a portal guard, which they've reached out to a couple guards. I mean, Quincy Olivari from Rice, touched base with him last night. He said Texas reached out yesterday. So they're looking for a portal guard. I think the kind of guy they want, I think that depends on what do you see Tyrese Hunter's role being next year. If you want Tyrese Hunter on the ball primarily, okay, then shooting becomes paramount in what you're looking for in a portal guard. If you decide, because Tyrese didn't shoot it that great this year, but he was like 34% from 3. It's compared to 27% at Iowa State last season. Mm-hmm. So he made pretty big strides shooting the ball. But if you want Tyrese Hunter to play off the ball, now you've got to get a guy who's maybe more of a combo guard who can play on the ball. But you also need to recruit a guy who's a shooter because of what you lose with losing Rice and losing Carr. So I know that's a lot of words right there, but it just shows you, man, it's a year-to-year proposition trying to build a roster in college basketball. Very rarely do you get guys like Enumekwe and Brumbaugh where you can plan on having guys a couple years because they can always transfer and go play somewhere else too.
Yep, that crazy free agency system that exists now. We were talking about the other day. It affects basketball in a very special way and different way than it does those other sports. That is Jeff Howe, horns247.com. If you just can't get enough, they are getting you ready for the spring game for these Texas baseball series coming up. Another big conference series at Oklahoma State this weekend. If you missed the Longhorn Blitz podcast, tonight at 7 with Jeff and Rod and Matt. And, of course, check out Light the Tower. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., there might be alligator guard discussion. There might be dead rattlesnake discussion. You just never know.
All feral hog talk is always something that's up for debate, too.
Now, have you ever run over one of those out on the roadway?
I would try to avoid one at all costs. I have heard, though, I believe Coach Joe Austin at Southwestern told us this, when you're and I think Craig said at one point in time, he was talking to Tom Herman about this too. There's that stretch of 130 that goes like from Lockhart to Seguin.
Yep.
That nobody drives, that they have like feral hog signs up to beware of feral hogs because
that may be where the speed limit goes up to like 85.
Yeah, because
Damn.
feral hogs will try to cross 130 and 18-wheelers come by and hit it, and these hogs just explode. Yeah.
All right, y'all be honest. If I could get y'all out there in a lawn chair and we knew it was going to happen, would you want to go watch?
Oh, hell yeah.
I would too.
Honestly, it's raining right now. I would go right now. Like, if you told me, like, it's guaranteed to happen between, like, the hours of, like,
I know.
2:30 and 3:30, I'm like, Chad, I got lawn chairs. Let's go.
See,
right
that's
now.
your country coming out, Jeff.
That's
That's
country.
your country
That is
coming
country
out.
sensibility, man. If you could take me to a railroad crossing right now and say there's a train about to safely hit a milk truck and no one will die, I'd want to go watch.
I'd much rather watch a semi hit a feral hog, though, than a train hit a milk truck.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I'll take both. Maybe one in the afternoon, one in the morning.
You ever mudding, Zay? You ever mudding?
Nah,
See,
I haven't done that.
Yeah.
You gotta live once in a while.
That's another level of country.
I didn't
there.
take Bucky Gobble's old ass truck. That deserves to be
And
done.
Chad, you know the guy. You went to high school. Everybody had this high school friend that went, "Oh, let's go mudding." Somebody took the vehicle mudding. That everybody knew they had no business doing it, but you're like, you know what? We're just gonna stand by and just wait because it's going. It's not if, it's going to happen. I'm stuck. Come help me.
It's like, hey, your uncle's about a half mile from there with a tractor, right? Okay, yeah, we'll go mudding. Go ahead.
Sorry, your 1987 Toyota Corolla couldn't handle 2 feet deep of mud.
That is Jeff Howe, kids. Always good to see you, man.
Yeah, thanks, fellas.
Stay
Thanks,
safe.
Jeff.
Don't hit any feral hogs out there. If you're on Twitter, at Jeff Howe 247, if you want to give him a follow. Coming up next, it is our Flex 30 segment, and it's a big one, as in a big transfer on the defensive side in the 6A ranks. Or is it? We'll talk about it on the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
Sounds like some serious 80s pop we got going on here. I'm not quite getting it, though. What's the song called?
Should I See?
Should I See? Ooh. I do not know. The Outfield. I don't know.
Who?
The Outfield?
No. Frozen Ghost.
Frozen what?
Ghost.
Frozen Ghost. Pardon me for asking the technical question, but how would I know if a ghost is frozen? It's a ghost. They freeze?
A lot of names were taken.
A lot of names were taken. Later on, Ghost was a name that was taken. They could have had Ghost back then. Frozen Ghost, Alley Cat Scratch, still can't believe that's real, and Tim McGraw. Oh, they went way back to what may now be controversial Tim McGraw. If you go to the streaming Tim McGraw, I mean, you found that version today. I guess Indian Outlaw still has to be the same.
Still the same.
Some artists have changed their lyrics, but yeah. What did you suggest earlier? Guardian Outlaw?
Yeah, Guardian Outlaws, Commander Outlaws, Washington Football Team Outlaws. I don't know. Now, for the Frozen Ghost, maybe they saw a really pale, cold person.
Maybe that's what it was.
Maybe that's what it was.
Frozen Ghost.
Just shivering their ass off.
That's the Frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting band name there. We're getting a weird group of band names. Coming up, we'll talk about a couple of big albums at 2:30. Zay has checked out Back in Black, an album he had never listened to, and I have listened to Iron Man from Ghostface Killah, an album I had never listened to. So we're doing another album swap discussion at 2:30, some stuff a little bit out of our comfort zone. Coming up at 2:05, he's out of everybody's comfort zone. He's Brandon Lang. That's why we love him. Brandon talking Final Four. Does he like UConn or Miami? Does he like FAU or San Diego State? We are going to find out. San Diego State is definitely a team he would have gotten a lot of look at it where he is out in Vegas. So I'm wondering if he's going to lean more towards SDSU. We'll find out at 2:05. Right now, though, let's get you the flex segment and some wild news in the 6A ranks. It's a name you know, headed to a different place. Here we go.
Flex ATX for the best high school sports coverage. Listen to the Horn and go to FLXATX.com. Flex 30 is brought to you by Brain Vault. Brain Vault is a revolutionary and patented mouthguard that has been proven to help reduce the risk of concussion. Visit BrainVault.com and join the movement.
All right. Last night, I got a text from one of the Flex guys, and he was, cruising social media, and he noticed a little detail. And he shot it to me and said, hey, Jacob Henry's Twitter says Vandegrift. And I just texted back the word wow. And then thought, okay, let's look into this, double check, right? And I look into it. And right now, if you go to Jacob's Twitter, at @TheJacobHenry_, by the way, if you want to give him a follow, it says Vandegrift 2024 defensive / nose tackle / offensive lineman / 2-time 6A district wrestling heavyweight champion, 2A, and goes on wrestling state qualifier, all that. Height 6'1", weight 290. So I verified things today, double-checked with the world's strongest man, who now is going to be, I guess, the world's strongest Viper dad.
Sexual chocolate?
Sexual chocolate himself. But yes, Jacob Henry is going to be at Vandegrift. Now, Zay, I did not need any more reasons to dig the Vandegrift Vipers. People know I am a mark for Vandegrift. If y'all don't know, that's my 6A team. I picked them years ago. Coach Sanders and the crew were nice to us when we went out there and did a show. I love the snake thing. I love the black and silver thing, the story with the military connection with the kid and name, everything, all that. I just really got into it. Now I've got a good friend of mine who's also a Viper dad. I went to a couple games last season. Everybody knows I dig Vandegrift. But now Jacob Henry's going to be at Vandegrift?
Yeah, and coaches on the wrestling and football side in 26 6A are wiping sweat off their brow right now saying, woo, wow, 25 5A is like, damn.
Yeah, the 25 6A coaches across all sports, but specifically football, wrestling, and powerlifting just went, wait, what?
Damn.
Who? So best of luck to Jacob Henry, the Henry family. Shout out to that Vandergrift Viper crew. And from this title we see here on Twitter, Zay, we could be talking both sides of the ball. He was all-flex watch list defensive line last year, all-flex finalist defensive line. Maybe there'll be some offensive line mixed in. He's a really talented athlete. Everybody knows that. And I think he has dabbled on the offensive line. I don't know how much, how many real reps he's gotten at the high school level, but now in his senior year, maybe it's both sides of the ball.
Yeah, clearly he's looking for a better opportunity that maybe he didn't get at Lake Travis. So I'm with it. Like, if you're able to up and move for your kid, son, daughter, whatever, for their best experience in high school, do it. Because we see it in college, we see it in the pros, and I think there's so many limitations on the high school level, which there should be, but I also think there's some that make it like just impossible for guys to leave and transfer when the situation that they're in, you don't know. It could be really toxic. So
yeah,
we don't know what happened, but hey, shout out to Jacob and the Henry family, and I know Vandergrift, who just went to a state championship game. I know they're hyped to have another guy on their lineup.
Yeah, that could be big time for them. We've also watched on that offensive line for both sides. The defensive line just losing Damian Wimberly. He's headed to SMU. So obviously he could help out on that side of the ball. The offensive line just lost Ian Reed to Clemson. We've been talking about Blake Frazier lately, who will be there this year on that offensive line. Him who's looking at schools like Michigan and Texas, and he's got a big-time offer list. So we'll see how Jacob Henry might fit in there. Also, for you wrestling fans, I did text Mark Henry that he now needs to let Randy Orton know that he's a Viper dad.
Oh,
come on!
wow!
See what? WrestleMania Saturday and Sunday. Come on, kids! You know what I'm saying. All right, there you go. There's your. We do the flex segment at 1:30 every day. Jacob Henry, now a Vandergrift Viper. Remember to go to FLX ATX on social media to follow all the stuff. You might have seen it before our Flex guys did if you were at flexatx.com. Shout out to them for that.
Yeah, y'all heard us talking with Jeff briefly, but Coach Rodney Terry, he was out there in Dallas yesterday to see 2024 top Texas player Trey Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Who just won a state championship at Lake Highlands, dropped 29 in the state championship game, has a lot of Bradley Beal in him.
This is the team that beat. Is that the one that beat Clean Ellison, or they were 6A?
I think they're 6A. I think they beat Beaumont United.
Okay, gotcha. So you'd be pretty excited if he ended up in Burnt Orange.
Very excited.
Okay.
Very excited. This would be a huge get for the program, and it would start something in 2024, and it will build momentum that Ron Holland and A.J. Johnson are coming off of in 2023.
And not that it can't still be Rodney Terry saying, always be where your feet are and you worry about what's right now. The idea that now that he has that contract security for a while, he has the time of it to discuss. Now he doesn't have to worry about that stuff.
Right.
He doesn't have to worry about kind of the circular talk of, look, we got to worry about right now. My plan is, now he knows. He can tell them Texas's plan. Texas's plan is, I'm their guy. I'm going to be here. This is my dream job. He can go through all that stuff. Rodney Terry is a guy that does not he feels like the type of guy to me, Zay, I'm not speaking for him, it just feels like with everything that's just happened, when Rodney Terry is done coaching at Texas, it's going to be because either he walks away and retires or Texas decides they'll move on, but it's not going to be because he moves on to another coaching job.
Yeah, he ain't leaving.
Right? This feels like the last job for him.
Absolutely.
So if he can honestly communicate that to these big time recruits, then it's a whole nother deal where he can say, "Oh, I'll be there a lot longer than you will.
Yeah,
you come for as long as you need to, but I'll be there. I'll be there when you leave. I promise."
Yeah, and man, you could go anywhere in the transfer portal and you could find guys. We've seen it. I've continued to say we're seeing it in the Final Four now. Like FAU. Come on now.
Yeah.
You can find guys. There's guys out there. It's just about making it mash and, throwing all the food in the gumbo pot and making a good dish when it comes out. But they there. They out there.
You want to talk about teams with edges. We know San Diego State's got one because people don't believe in them either. These FAU guys, the Beach Boys, boy, they would love to shut people up.
Yeah.
They're the fourth of the four here, right? In your estimation, I'm assuming for Vegas betting odds and all that. It's FAU. They're a 9 seed.
Yeah. And Coach Dusty May loves it.
Yeah, he does.
He loves it.
I like that guy, by the way.
I like him too.
The way they interact with their coach, the way he talks about the players, the way the players talk about him, you can tell there is a bond with those guys.
Yeah, he about to get a big-time Power 6 job.
And it's good stuff.
I don't know where, but he about to get one.
Did you hear that story about when he first got there recruiting and he wouldn't show him the facilities?
No.
When he first got to FAU, he considered not taking the job because the basketball facilities were so bad. Then he decides to take it, and he would only show them the football facilities that Lane Kiffin was working on at the time. But he wouldn't show them basketball. So they would literally get to campus and then realize how horrible it was, but he already had them by that point. And then eventually now they've gotten basketball going, and they've gotten facilities going. But at one point, he would not even show them the facilities.
That's brutal.
It was so bad. He was showing them football stuff.
That's absolutely brutal.
That's crazy, man. All right. Again, we do the flex segment every day at 1:30. Coming up at 2:05, Brandon Lang, his thoughts on FAU, SDSU, and those two big dogs on the other side of the Final Four. Up next, where are we at in society? Zay will let us know on the Horn. All right, this is Chad. Lots of basketball going on right now. Let's talk Underdog Fantasy. It's the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and, of course, the Final Four is here. Get in on a pick'em game with the Final Four. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. I got the San Diego State FAU game pulled up just as an example. How about, let's see. Actually, you know what? Let's go to the Miami-UConn game. Isaiah Wong, 15.5 points, higher or lower. 22.5 points, rebounds, and assists all together, higher or lower. Those are the kind of things you're figuring out. You're picking between 2 and 5 players to build your pick'em entry, and you're figuring out whether it's higher or lower in the stat total to get your chance to win. And again, you can win up to 20 times your money in that single night. You can also make rivals picks, pitting 2 players against each other. Check it out for the Final Four. It is easy to play, easy to get on your phone. I got it right here. Sign up today with the promo code HORN. Get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register with my promo code HORN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Must be 18 or over and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. It's the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. Get you a pick'em game together for the Final Four with Underdog Fantasy.
Chad and Zay.
Rolling through a Thursday. This feels like car wash. That's a little bit of that vibe to it. It may not be, but it kind of has it up. Does it? Am I wrong?
Yeah, you're wrong. I mean, it's not car wash.
Working at the car wash. It just has that.
I don't know
little bit,
what group is
feel
that
to it. I wouldn't have been able to tell you. I just know the title. I wouldn't have known the band there. Who is this?
This is Fatback Band.
Oh, Fatback.
Are you ready?
Okay.
To the bus stop.
Okay, I had an automotive thing, right?
Yeah, you were close,
Bus
I
stop,
guess,
car
yeah.
wash. Okay, so Fatback or Fatback Band?
The Fatback Band.
The Fatback Band. Now that's a good name. Like that one. All right. So we got the Fatback Band. We had Frozen Ghost, Alley Cat Scratch, and Tim McGraw all on the show today. We'll get a great beat to start the third hour. Then at 2:30, we'll get into that album swap discussion. Zay listened to Back in Black by AC/DC. Interesting anniversary around that album that will hit when we discuss it. And Iron Man by Ghostface Killah is the album that I checked out. I've been on a Wu-Tang run now. Zay wanted me to get fully educated on the Wu-Tang solo albums. So not only did I listen to Enter the Wu-Tang, I listened to the next 5 solo albums that were released. So we'll have some fun with that at 2:30. May even get into the albums we'll hit next week. We've enjoyed doing that, and we hope you have enjoyed hearing it. Coming up, we will get you Brandon Lang of BrandonLang.com in case you like to put a little scratch on the Final Four. He'll give you his thoughts on those games, and if he thinks anybody can take UConn out, they definitely feel like the big favorite right now. Or certainly you feel like that side of the Final Four may be in control. Whoever wins that game, it's going to be your favorite on Monday night. Right now, let's get to where are we at in society, see what Zay wants to get into. Here we go.
Where are we at in society today?
All right, Zay, am I headed to Twitter today or what?
Yeah, head to Twitter. Wait. First,
No.
don't go yet.
Don't look.
All right, I'll tell you to head to Twitter just in a little bit.
All right.
But first, we're gonna play a little audio for you and the people,
All right.
and you tell me if what I play for you offends you or not.
Whether I'm offended.
Whether you're offended or not.
All right, everybody get your offended ears ready. Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we know it, she'd have a Snoop Dogg tattoo on her shoulder.
A shizzle, my nizzle.
I'm telling you. Julie, what you think about that?
All right, we're playing it again. It was quick. We're gonna play it one more time.
Julie said.
Were you offended?
Okay, go ahead.
Before we know it, she'd have a Snoop Dogg tattoo on her shoulder.
A shizzle, my nizzle.
I'm telling you. Julie, what you think about that?
Okay, now pull up the video so you could see what happened.
The is my favorite part. A Mississippi news anchor.
Mississippi news anchor Barbie Bassett, who's been a news anchor for 20 years.
Oh my gosh.
Just got the boot for saying "for shizzle my nizzle" after
She got fired?
fired, gone,
Say.
get out
Say.
for saying "for shizzle my nizzle" after her co-host says something about Snoop Dogg, who made that phrase popular.
So the guy on the left is one that said Snoop Dogg.
right.
She's the one in the middle, obviously, because there's two men in this shot, and then the guy on the right.
The guy on the right's very uncomfortable.
And
he
then-
was offended.
And the voice that I heard that just went, that was some woman off
that
the
was some
camera.
woman, yeah.
Okay.
So
Interesting. Okay, so this video is a little bit grainy, but give me I guess the breakdown on demographics matters here. The guy on the left, white dude.
yeah,
The woman in question,
white.
white woman?
Yeah, she white.
Okay.
She white.
Guy
yeah.
on the right,
he got a little spice.
maybe
I
Hispanic?
don't know exactly, but
Maybe? Okay.
definitely ain't white.
And
He's very uncomfortable.
and this is
by the way.
in Mississippi.
This is Mississippi.
Whoo, wow.
Again, this is 2023.
Golly.
It's a bit soft.
Yeah, that's
It's a bit soft because I don't think this lady understands for shizzle my nizzle. The my nizzle means my,
Yeah. Okay. Let's break it
my
down.
ninja.
Let's break it down. Does she still have her job if she had left out my nizzle?
Yes.
If she just said
You
for,
said for shizzle.
for shizzle,
Yeah.
she could have gotten away with it.
Yeah, but when I hear my nizzle, I don't think of, the offensive word to brothers and sisters.
I mean, it is, and also off of the Snoop Dogg reference, how many times have we heard Snoop Dogg use that phrasing?
A lot.
A ton, right?
He doesn't
And
say it as much anymore, but there's one point in time he was throwing it out there.
he would say it a lot.
A lot.
It was
Versus.
It was a playful way for him to kind of make a reference without obviously actually saying that word. He could say it in mixed company on mixed broadcasts.
Or
and
Shizzle
all
my
that
nizzle,
stuff.
Snoop and D.O. double jizzle.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
Isn't this
Fired.
bad? 20 years.
That's rough. Yeah, let's say she doesn't get any deference, but then people look at that. Do people look at that video and just see, oh, look at there, white lady saying something she shouldn't say?
Karen being racist.
Right. Oh, yeah, she's probably racist.
I hope not.
She's a white woman in Mississippi, so we know what she's thinking. Is that what people are going to say?
I hope not. She's just
That's horrible.
misinformed. She doesn't know what my nizzle means. She just thinks it's Snoop, being funny. Like, this is the same guy who has a cooking show with Martha Stewart. Like, he's a harmless guy, even though he's from Long Beach. He's harmless.
Yeah, it's like the first thing I did when I heard it was I smiled.
Yeah, it's funny.
I thought it was, it was cute, playful, and here this is how I hear stuff like that. I'm impressed that those two white folks in Mississippi know the reference.
Right?
That's what impressed me, where it was like Snoop Dogg and blah, he made a Snoop Dogg reference and she immediately went to it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Quick.
So if she had just said for shizzle, it would be fine. But she adds, I don't know.
And if she would have said rolling down the street, smoking endo, she still have her job.
If she'd have referenced gin and juice.
Yeah.
If she had said D-O-double-G. If she had done some
if
other.
the pimp's in the crib, Mom, drop it like it's hot.
Said, drop it like it's hot. That would have that'd have gotten her a raise if she says drop it like it's
We're
hot.
so sensitive. And this just
my
goes back to like
Lord.
where we are, like where we at in society. Perfect. This is where we are in society.
Let me ask you, on this show, if you played Snoop and you said something about Snoop and I responded with those 4 words, what would you do?
You get the biggest rib at the barbecue. Like, come on.
That give me some points
That
back.
give you street cred. You know what I'm saying? Like, Chad, what you like in your potato salad? That's what Auntie asking you.
Right this way.
Yeah, right this way.
Right this way. Yeah, that's wild. That is wild.
We got to get tougher skin, y'all. Like, this is bad. And again, it's Mississippi. So we know Mississippi's had a history of some racial problems, a little racial tension. So they're trying to be, in 2023, they want to be right on. They don't want to offend anyone, but this is taking it way too far. And like, it's not like she's younger or anything. This is an older woman. She in her 60s.
It's also interesting. They said they were discussing his new wine collection. And then for him.
Yes, how ungangsta is that? We're discussing Snoop's wine collection.
Now, one thing I would say, I never think of Snoop. I don't think of Snoop and tattoos immediately. The fact that the guy said a Snoop Dogg tattoo, but he was making a literal reference, I'm assuming, right, to something. I don't know what.
I know Snoop's wine, like you could take a picture of it or something, or you could hold your camera and they'll start moving. It's weird.
Okay.
It's really weird. Somebody knows what I'm talking about, but Snoop's wine's very unique.
Like, his setup didn't feel racially charged to me. It felt like they were specifically talking about Snoop Dogg, and if they were talking about his wine, they were specifically talking about it. For him to say that, she immediately responds. Again, I heard it as, oh yeah, they're kind of familiar with what's.
Yeah. It's not like she said F the East Coast.
You don't have no love for Mississippi TV? You don't have no love for Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre?
To all you other news anchors out there thinking y'all could get all the right reports with y'all's producers dancing.
Y'all don't have no love for Channel 5? Oh, my God. That's fantastic.
Yeah, somebody needs to hire Barbie.
Yeah, Barbie needs the job.
She needs a job. She needs a gig. Get out of Mississippi.
By the way, the fact that her name is Barbie Bassett, you couldn't write that.
Little
if you
country, huh?
Tried. That
Yeah.
is such a country Mississippi name right there. Barbie, we hope things work out well for you. I don't think you deserved all that. I am impressed that you knew the reference, and that may mean you know a Snoop song or two. So you know what? Just because they dropped you like you were hot, that doesn't mean that it's over. Hopefully you get a gig. Hopefully you get a gig somewhere. All right, coming up, your 2 o'clock hour starts with Brandon Lang of BrandonLang.com. And at 2:30, speaking of music, we'll get you Why Today Matters, Album Swap, Back in Black, and Iron Man. Stay right where you are. It's The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
All right, hour number 3 on a Thursday. Zay, did you go with a Snoop beat for Barbie?
How'd you know?
I could just feel it. I could feel it. This feels like a Snoop beat. If you don't have Snoop on this track, you should. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
What era of Snoop we looking at here?
That's the first album, Doggy
Okay.
Style. Ain't no fun if the homies can't have none.
Yeah. I mean, if you have this beat and you are friends with him and you don't send it to him, you're insulting him. That just sounds like Snoop.
Yeah.
That's well
It's the
done.
jam.
Snoop Dogg, what's the name of the song?
Ain't no fun.
Ain't no fun. All right, Snoop Beat getting us started this hour, and we had that crazy story from Where We At in Society, the TV lady in Mississippi getting fired for making the Snoop Dogg reference. That is rough. All right, let's get into a lot of stuff on the board today. We talked a little football, Lamar Jackson, the latest. We looked at a 7-round mock. We hit a little NBA, but obviously Final Four coming up in Houston. We thought we could get one more visit in with our man Brandon Lang. Here we go. Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina Hotline. Brandon Lang. Check out BrandonLang.com. Check out Believe Me with the show with Cordell Stewart on the Believe Network, and he's getting ready like we are for the Final Four. Brandon, how are you?
First and foremost, what did the lady get thrown off the air for the Snoop Dogg reference? Let me hear it.
Wait, do you have the sound for him?
Oh,
Can you play it where Brandon could hear it?
Yeah, I got you, B-Lang.
Brandon, we're going to play it for you. 1 second here. Zay will set it up for you.
Before we know it, she'd have a Snoop Dogg tattoo on her shoulder.
For shizzle, my nizzle.
I'm telling you. Julie, what you think about that?
That was it. She said those 4 words. She said, "For shizzle, my nizzle," and it was over. They fired her after 20 years, Brandon.
20 years. Long, hard years.
Okay,
Blood, sweat,
hold
and
on.
tears.
Time out. Let me catch my breath here.
Yeah.
Where did this happen?
Mississippi.
These people got issues. these people got issues.
Yeah.
I have no reason to go to Mississippi. I have no reason to ever go to Mississippi. I don't think I ever met anybody from Mississippi. And these folks should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. For shizzle, my nizzle, and they throw her off the air. Have you lost your mind?
That's crazy.
Whoever runs that station is a moron.
Yeah.
Is a complete and utter moron. That man has watched way too much she-male porn in his life. I'm telling you right now. He lives in the basement he grew up neglected by his mom and neglected by his dad. He's probably adopted. He's probably a smart guy, probably got his degree, probably worked his way up, and he's getting back at every girl that rejected him in his entire life. That's it. That's my take on it. Anyway,
that's a hell of a breakdown right there. That is you only get that with Brandon Lang too. That's fantastic.
Now I'm disappointed that and I will segue what I'm about to say right into Miami and UConn, and then we'll get to the second game in a second. So there is no way on the planet Earth, if Dylan Dessou plays, that Miami wins that game. Let me just throw that out there right now. That they have no shot at beating Texas. And even without Dessou, who was the Big 12 tourney MVP, early star of the NCAA tournament, not only does he miss the game, they still have a chance to win. Now, I don't know if the coach yelled on the floor to not take a foul or Carr just decided on his own because he had a brain fart and lost his mind that he decided to foul. But down 2 with 45 seconds to go after Carr turned it over, just defend. You're going to get the ball back with 15 seconds down 2. Win the game or tie the game. Just defend one more time. But Carr decides to foul. It was never addressed. Did you hear it addressed after the game?
No, we talked about it when we came in on Monday.
Yeah, it's one of the first things Zay brought up. Yeah, but you're right. After the game that night, it didn't get talked about a lot.
No, it should have been brought up immediately. Why did you foul? Why did you have them foul? And had Ronald say, well, Rodney say, I yelled it out, Carr didn't hear me. That needed to be answered, and it wasn't answered. And then once they went up by 4, now that you lost the game right there. Miscommunication between coach and player, and that critical of a moment should have been addressed. Now, they caught a break. And then, Carr was playing with a banged up hamstring in the last 5 minutes anyway. So now they go to the Final Four. And the whole world is jocking this Miami team like they have a shot in this game. You got a better chance of seeing God. Show up at your studio right now with Jenna Jameson in her prime, Michael Jordan in his 1985 Air Jordans, and Dennis Rodman with, what was the hottie he gave? Carmen Electra.
Yep.
All of them come in your studio right now. Well, that ain't happening, bro. That ain't happening. I had the biggest play of my career since the website was launched in 2005. I've only come with 4 200-dime releases in college basketball. And I came with my 4th one. And it was UConn or Gonzaga. And I just said, there's no way with Julian Strother, Vegas boy, hitting a 3 to beat UCLA, where they're going to be able to get up off the deck 2 days later and beat this UConn team. Laying 3, won by 28. Oh, my. This UConn team has just gotten better each game. And as the competition has gotten better, they've gotten better. It's a great story. Jim Laranga. Let me take you back in time to the George Mason run. Because I had George Mason in the Colonial Athletic Conference Tournament Championship game. They won and covered. Then I had them in their first 4 games of the NCAA tournament. They won and covered. And then they got to face Florida in the semifinals. And I rode them one more time. And they got blown out. They were never in it. You could see it from the get-go. They were overmatched. But I just went one more time. Well, guess what? Miami's covered 4 straight, won 4 straight, cut a break with the Sioux not playing. I get it. Jimmy, you've had a good run, babe. You had a good run, Jim. I think your little dance there at the end, my man. But I'm sorry. UConn's playing at a whole different level right now. You either lose with UConn before you try to win with Miami.
There it is. And on the other side of the bracket, Brandon, it is 2 teams that nobody's going to be picking to win at all. A 9 seed with FAU, but they're fighting through, pulling upsets. San Diego State, tough as hell on defense. I know you've probably seen them more than a lot of other people would have, being out west like you are. Give us your thoughts on the upset game on the other side there.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
First game of the NCAA tournament. Utah State from the 3-point line. 4 of 24. I'm sorry, that was in their conference championship game. Utah State shot 4-24 from the 3. College Charleston was like 30-3 from the 3-point line. They were 5 of 24 against San Diego State. Furman, who likes to shoot the 3. Okay, they were 6 for 26 from 3. Okay, let's keep moving along. How about Alabama? Alabama, which put up 108 points on Georgia, 107 points on they scored over 100 3 times. They put up 108 on Georgia. They put up 106 on 106 to 66 over Georgia, LSU, and scored 104 and beaten Vandy. And they held Vandy to 44. San Diego State held Alabama to 3 of 27 from 3. And then Creighton, they held Creighton to 2 of 17 from 3. So Utah State, College Charleston, Furman, Alabama, Creighton, all live and die by the 3. So you want me to believe that Florida Atlantic, who scored 50 points in a game to beat North Texas 50-46, is going to be the team that takes them down? I'm just asking.
Yeah, that doesn't feel like the play.
Not at all.
That does not feel like the play.
Guys,
no.
It's not happening. I'm sorry. I had a big play on UConn, and I came back and had another monster play on San Diego State over Creighton. And I just said, until a team shows me with the way that, Dersher has his team playing defense right now. And listen, They have 7 seniors in their 9-man rotation. These 7 guys, one's 34, one's 33, another one's 29. The one kid's 28 with 4 kids already. I think he's a grandpa right now. I think one guy's 39. They're all growing beards. They look like they're managers at Best Buy. All of them, just all grumpy. Bouncers, nightclubs. Seriously. Old veteran team that defends as if their mother's being held hostage. Guys, it's been a great story for Florida Atlantic. I get it. But if Kendrick Davis doesn't have the brain fart of a lifetime, Memphis up 1, inbound the ball to Kendrick Davis, dribbling up the right side, 5 seconds to go. Just hold on to the ball, son. They're going to foul you. Go to the line, make 2 free throws. You guys not only win, but cover the 1.5. Just hold on to the ball, son. Kendrick, that's all you got to do, baby. Hey, Kendrick, you play basketball. It just came out of your mom's womb. Just hold on to the ball, Kendrick. Just stop right there. Hold on the ball. They're going to foul you, baby. They're going to foul you, baby. Kendrick, they're going to foul you, baby. Jumps in the air and threw it to the Florida Atlantic guy. Here. You look like my cousin Spoonie, who makes counterfeit money in Compton. Here, just you take it and go in the game. We're not even talking about Florida Atlantic, man. So give them credit. They're here. But I'm sorry. I'm going to trust my eye test. And if you can make Bama look the way you made Bama look and made Brandon Miller look as bad as you made Brandon Miller look, then I'll force Florida Atlantic to show me they can do something that those teams couldn't do. I'm sorry. I mean, it's a great story. But, they took care of College of Charleston, who, again, I think they're 30-3. Same with Florida Atlantic, 3 losses all year long. And they're just, when you haven't faced it, whole different ballgame.
Yeah, San Diego State made Brandon Miller look so bad. Now he's not in a lot of mock drafts where he was number 3 before the tournament even started. But B. Lang, just seeing how you just broke down both of those games, guessing you got UConn versus San Diego State in the championship game. Who do you like in that one?
UConn. Same thing. 4-0 straight up and against the spread. I will lose with UConn before I try to win with anybody else. And that's not just because they made me just an absurd amount against Gonzaga. Again, you hear me talk about it all the time, especially when it comes to basketball, and it's a sport I know so well. I trust my eyes. I trust the matchup. Nobody of all 4 teams remaining, nobody's got an answer for Snellgo. Nobody. And the players around him and how they're playing and how Danny Hurley has his team playing right now, they have the look of a national champion. And listen, to start the year, they were 14-0 and the best team in college basketball. And then they just went through a little lull. Right now, they're playing better than anybody, hands down.
Yeah, I completely agree. Everything about them just feels like, because they're not just beating people, Brandon. They're taking them apart. What they did, they made Gonzaga feel like they didn't need to be in the tournament. Like, by the end of that game, I'm like, oh, my God, Timmy is sitting on the sidelines like he's nobody.
Yeah, when you got 2 7-footers that you can just keep coming. Well, Sanogo's like 6'9". The other kid, Kloppa. He's 7'1". They just keep coming at you. And then they're big, they're physical, they're fast, they get out in transition, they can shoot the 3. Just don't go against them right now. I didn't go against Villanova the whole tournament when they won, and I'm not going against UConn.
Yep, that is fair. That's Brandon Lang, kids. BrandonLang.com. All right, Brandon, this is the last time we're going to talk to you till football season. Do you have a message for the people before we leave you alone for a while, and then we'll ramp up for football later on? Anything you want to leave the people with?
Take a shot at the Angels to win the AL pennant.
Oh.
Nice sleeper team with Mike Trout and Ohtani. Your little sleeper. Unbelievable value in the Angels. That's what I'm going to leave you with. Mike Trout, Ohtani, going to the World Series. There you go.
How about that little baseball curveball?
Yeah, a little opening day
from
plug
Brandon
right
Lang.
there.
Opening day curveball from Brandon Lang. I like that. Brandon, we always
there you go, boys.
We always appreciate it, man. We will talk to you when football rolls around, sir.
Guys, have a great summer.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks, B. Lang. You too.
That is Brandon Lang. How about that? The Angels. Wait a minute. He's insinuating that the Angels will, play up to their talent?
I mean,
they do have maybe the two best baseball players on planet Earth. He's saying that's actually going to matter this year?
Yo, maybe they could bring what they brought in the World Baseball Classic, Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, Shohei winning and Mike Trout striking out in the championship. Maybe they could bring that just championship enthusiasm to Anaheim.
Maybe. I tell you what, I watched that at-bat 2 or 3 times. That was incredible.
So cool.
Dude went 100, 100, 100, 102, got him to a full count, and then pulled that slider up like put it in the strike zone, middle of the strike zone, and then had it just tail away just enough where Trout couldn't get out there.
Right.
At 87. He pulled 102 down to 87 in one pitch, and Trout was just thinking, well, he's just throwing me heat. He's challenging me. He's going Ricky Vaughn on me. I got to stay up. I got to keep my pace up here. And then he just got him thinking about that and ripped off 87, tailing away.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah, the chess match that Ohtani played with him there, brilliant.
Whew. God, that was good stuff. I hope, as a Rangers fan, that Brandon Lang is dead wrong that the Angels are going to make that kind of run. But interesting comment there at the end. Brandon Lang says you need to ride with UConn and San Diego State. Great argument there for how San Diego State's defending the 3. And he thinks UConn is ultimately the team. That was my question coming out of the weekend. Can anybody beat them? Brandon Lang right now is saying no for what that's worth. All right, coming up on this Thursday, it is Why Today Matters. It's March 30th, and we're going album swap. Zay listened to Back in Black. I listened to Iron Man by Ghostface Killah, and we're going to talk about both of them next, plus a birthday or two on the Horn. This is Chad. Let's talk Apple Leasing. The Easy Lease system is so cool. You call them up. You tell them what you're looking for. They go out to all the different dealerships they have connections with. They find you the best deals. They get you the discounts and incentives that the dealers would get you. So any of those rebates or any of the sales that are going on around holiday time, whatever, they've got all that for you. They'll line it up for you, get you all those different options. It is the easiest and safest way to get a new car, any truck, any make, any model, that simple. Call 346-9977 and let them explain their leasing system to you and how it works. What do you do at this point if you want to make a change? They'll tell you. What do you do at the end of it? Is there some big giant balloon? They'll tell you all about it. They'll walk you through everything, and they will take all those questions and all that worry away. I know because they did that for me. 346-9977. Call them up. Tell them you heard about it here on the Horn. You can also go online to appleleasing.com.
Chad and Zay.
All right, rolling through a Thursday. This one sounds familiar to me. Is this something would this be something I just experienced?
Yeah.
This is on the album, isn't it?
It is.
All right, so this is, I don't know if I'm going to come up with the track. I'm staring at the track list right now. This isn't Daytona 500?
There we go.
Did I get it?
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, so that means this would be Ghostface Killah from
right.
Iron Man. I haven't had my first nerdy question of the day. Does anybody give him the GFK? I know these guys have a lot of different names or whatever. Does he get that? Like, I know, there's RZA, and that's pronounced RZA, but Ghostface Killah, does anybody give him, like, the acronym? Or is he just Ghost or Ghostface Killah?
Just Ghost.
His real name is
they all got Nick.
His real name is really boring, too. What's his real name?
I don't know his real name.
It's like Chris Jones or something. Oh, it's fantastic. What is it? Yeah, it's on the album.
I mean, they all got the nicknames. Method Man's Johnny Blaze, Raekwon's the Chef.
Here it is.
He's Tony Stark.
Well, he's not bad. Dennis Coles.
Yeah.
It's not bad. Not bad. One of them is Corey Woods.
That's Raekwon.
That's Raekwon, yes.
Yeah.
Corey Woods. Daryl Hill is that Capadonna? Yes, Capadonna's Daryl Hill.
Capadonna.
Oh, love it. Love it. All right, so we're about to get into a little Ghostface Killah discussion here in addition to AC/DC. We got some other stuff to get into. A lot of basketball, football, getting towards the Final Four. We just got Brandon Lang's thoughts on that. Lamar Jackson still doesn't have a situation, but it feels like there's a story every day. Today's was about Asante Samuel's dad. So Asante Samuel Sr., telling Lamar Jackson on social media he didn't want to play for Bill Belichick.
Don't do it, Lamar.
At this point, I think Lamar Jackson wants to play for anybody who wants him, and he doesn't want the Ravens, and the Ravens don't want to give him the money. Real quick, I tell you what, before we get into the album thing, let's fire up Why Today Matters, and we'll get this another quick Lamar note out, and then we'll talk music. Here we go. Zay, I want to make sure we're clear on this thing with the people because I think it's a weird little detail. So there's a story coming out from Baltimore, and it's saying Lamar Jackson's trying to be clear on things. He isn't demanding a fully guaranteed contract per Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. He, quote, just wants the guaranteed portion of it to be larger than Watson's. But I've double-checked. Watson's is $230 million, all guaranteed. So that's him saying, well, if you want to pay me $250, that's fine, but I'll need $231 of it to be $233. I'll need $234 of that to be guaranteed because I want more guaranteed than Watson.
I mean,
dude, that's
nuts.
Yeah, that's a whole other level of insanity.
Yo, mama, get out the feelings. What you telling this boy?
We had already heard that his side of it, him and mom and whoever else, that they knew Watson was an outlier, but apparently that's not true if Jeremy Fowler's right. So we'll just have to keep our eyes peeled for that story. All right, so Why Today Matters, March 30th. First off, as long as we're going to talk some music, shout out to MC Hammer, 61
Yo!
Also, one of the biggest stars ever in music, Celine Dion, is double nickel today. That means Celine Dion and Rodney Terry are the same age, if y'all need a comparison.
Okay.
Both looking very good at 55, by the way. In good shape. I don't know if Coach can sing, but Celine.
You heard that voice? Hell no, he can't sing.
I don't know. I think he could sing. I wouldn't have him sing a Celine Dion song, but I bet he could sing some. We'll find something for him to sing. He could sing some Louis Armstrong. Love that raspiness in the voice. He could do it. So happy birthday to those two. Zay, we're getting into the album swap discussion here. You want to go first or second today?
I'll go second.
You'll go second. All right, that means we are starting with Iron Man from Ghostface Killah. This is the 5th solo album from Wu-Tang that we're dealing with. And after this, after listening to, let me see if I get this right this time. After listening to Built for Cuban Links, The Purple Tape.
There we go.
There it is. I had already obviously gotten comfortable with Raekwon and Ghostface Killah. This is kind of a switch around where Ghostface gets the head billing, but Raekwon and Capadonna are both on the album cover.
Correct.
And I mean their names are on the album cover.
Right.
So they are given credit, and basically there are lots and lots of songs on this album where you get Raekwon. I really understand why RZA liked those two guys together. They worked very well together.
Right.
Either way. So I really enjoyed it, and this one for me, Zay, I saw this album described as a combination of Bruce Lee and Gladys Knight. And I thought that was an interesting way to put it. A lot of interesting samples on there. You don't have it's not as mobster as what Cuban Links was. It's not quite that, and it's not quite as wordy and super intelligent as Liquid Swords.
Right.
Not quite there, but it's still got the same. It's got the craftsmanship is reminiscent of it. RZA's incredible with everything that he does. The beginning sequence on a song, I'm going to love a song called Iron Maiden, by the way. That beginning sequence with the kid talking is fantastic. The track later on, Black Jesus, track 13, with that crazy, philosophical stuff at the beginning of it is a wild little interlude. And I haven't read up enough about it, but there is some religious connection to it from Ghostface Killah. There's a specific version of, I guess, his religion at the time that is coming through in that track. But there's a lot of great stuff on here. The first one that jumped out at me was Assassination Day. I think that's a great song. Winter Wars is a great song. I've learned through this Wu-Tang stuff, I love it when you take good, hard, tough male rap and add a female voice in the right spot, the right way. It's incredible. And Winter Wars has a little bit of that, but also the All That I Got Is You later on featuring Mary J. Blige.
Oh, that's such a good change of pace.
Working her voice into it. And also that's what I would call just a straight up realistic life kind of rap song.
Yeah.
You don't get a ton of them, but when they're done right, it's awesome. Maybe my favorite Tupac song is what's the Tupac song?
Dear Mama.
Not Dear Mama,
Brenda's Got a Baby.
The one for the ladies. What's it called? Keep Your Head Up.
Oh, Keep Your Head Up.
Keep Your Head Up.
Yeah.
That may be my favorite Tupac because it's so real.
Yeah.
I love the realism of that, and that's what I get out of All That I Got Is You. And Daytona 500, which you played coming in. I'm glad I was able to recognize that. The Motherless Child. Kame is the song.
That's my joint,
dude. Kame, I've had that in my head for a week now. Oh, no, say goodbye, love is gonna. All those little samples they use, I can't get rid of it. It's fantastic. The rapping is great. The references are just well thought out. The way they bring in other members of the group and reference them. Poison Darts is a good track. So I enjoyed it, man. From 96, late 96 on this album. I hate to continue to be a broken record on this, Zay. I don't think it was as good as Cuban Links. I'm battling whether it was as good as Liquid Swords. I'm trying to figure out where I would compare those two. But to me, this is like a high B, low A again. I'm right in that area where, if I'm going to be honest for what this is, I think it's an A album. I think this is like a 9.0, a 9.1, somewhere in there.
Damn. Yeah.
I think it's
a little high for me.
Okay. I think it's you would tell me that Cuban Links is the best of these. What's your favorite of the solo albums?
Cuban Links, my favorite, then Liquid Swords, and then this one.
Okay.
I, like you said, just Raekwon and Ghostface's chemistry is unmatched. And RZA, the beats were crazy. This is kind of the first time you saw Capadonna. And Ghostface Killah, he'll let you know himself, he wasn't as locked in as he has been for other albums with this one.
Yeah.
Because he just found out he had diabetes, so he was dealing with that. And he knew he had to meet a date with the album and stuff. So that's why you see on the song Faster Blade, he ain't even on it.
Oh, is that right?
It's just all Raekwon. And there's another song where he's not on it either. So I think it's an incredible album. I'll give it a B, like around an 8.5 or so. But if you've listened to other Ghostface Killah albums like Supreme Clientele and Fish Scale, those albums are better than this one. But this one is the one Ghostface album that has that woo feel, which is the reason why I wanted you to listen to it. It's the last individual album that's a part of the classic 5-year run from 93 to 97.
I tell you what, we'll kick back. I'll go 8.8. How about that? We'll go
cool.
We'll go 8.8 on Iron Man. Another weird fact I read is that RZA says that Ghostface sounds different on this album because they had a flood in the studio.
Yes.
It ruined all the equipment, and they had to re-record. I thought that was interesting, too.
Yeah, so people say Ghostface Killah and Action Bronson have the same voice. And those guys have actually had to squash a beef because people were like, yo, Action, you realize you sound like Ghostface, right? And Action, just so disrespectful, go, yeah, I've heard that, but Ghost ain't rhyming like this no more. And Ghostface put out like this diss video of just calling Action Bronson husky, and definitely not saying husky.
Yeah.
Way disrespectful than I'm being. And I've never heard the comparison. When I hear Ghostface and I hear Action Bronson, I could tell the difference.
I need to listen to more Action to know. I wouldn't have thought of that. So,
We'll get there.
all right. So we'll definitely give it some love to Iron Man. All right, Zay, let's get to Back in Black. In July of 1980 is when the album came out. It is one of the best-selling albums of all time. What did you think of Back in Black?
Really good. Really good. 10 songs. I'm not going to front. A lot of them were similar to another. You told me that. You warned me.
AC/DC, yeah, that's kind of part of their DNA. You're going to get what you get.
Yeah, but when I went back and looked at the history and the story, it's pretty fascinating. The fact that Bon Scott died, as y'all know, but your boy being a hip-hop head, I did not. And the fact that Brian Johnson just came in, he was already with a group in the 70s, and Mutt Lange requested them. Somebody else requested them to Malcolm and Angus Young. So the guys were like, we gotta at least try. And Brian Johnson went and said, yo, I don't even know if I want to get back into music due to the ups and downs that he had with his previous groups.
Right,
so,
he hadn't had a lot of success at that point.
Yeah, he hasn't had a lot of success. And plus, trying to replace Bon Scott, that must have been tough for him. But
and Brian was a huge AC/DC fan. He loved it,
Yeah, so just knowing that they went to the Bahamas, like once Brian Johnson got the gig, they went to the Bahamas, performed the album. You know, it's pretty incredible, the story. And yeah, I've listened to this. I've heard this song my whole life. Right. Whether it's commercials, movies, I've always heard this song, just never knew who the hell it was.
Legendary stuff. Back in Black, You Shoot Me All Night Long, and Hell's Bells. Those are the three songs that everybody's going to know. And interesting thing I read, Brian Johnson. So Bon died in February of 80. Brian Johnson became the official lead singer 43 years ago yesterday, March 29th of 1980, and they put the album out in July. That's how fast that all happened. I've heard stories of the Young brothers going to the funeral not knowing if they were ever going to play again.
Yeah.
Ever. And it all came together, and I'm glad you saw it too. I didn't realize it was Mutt Lange that suggested Brian Johnson to them.
Yeah, producer for Asteria.
I'd never really heard that part of it, and this song always gets me because the very first thing you hear out of Brian Johnson, the very first thing is Hell's Bells.
Right.
It's unbelievable. And I never realized there was a massive tropical storm while they were recording. So when he says, I'm rolling thunder, pouring rain, I'm coming on like a hurricane.
That was that real.
He was kind of talking about outside at the time. And it's incredible stuff. Over about 50 million copies worldwide. It went 25 times platinum in 2019, becoming the fourth best-selling album in the U.S. by a certain marker. But by another worldwide list I saw, only Michael Jackson's Thriller has sold more total records than this one.
Yo, it's crazy. I mean, I need to go back and listen to Bon Scott, AC/DC.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. You definitely need to check out.
I want to hear the difference.
Yeah.
But Brian Johnson's voice is so unique. And do they still perform? Now, is everybody alive?
AC/DC is now back together with Brian. Brian had to take a little time off because of deafness. He's had some ear issues, but they've gotten it to the point where he was able to get back for a new album, and I believe he is now able to tour again.
Yeah, but the voice, how is he able to get the voice to that?
Yeah, I think the voice is still fine, man, because I think if you ever hear him interviewed, he sounds like that. He sounds gravelly, scratchy, and that's just the way he sings. So I think, and I'll be honest, I haven't seen AC/DC in a few years.
Okay.
Especially with Brian, because they had the period where he wasn't with them. But I think he can still get it done.
Yeah, and then like you hear about Malcolm and Angus Young like at the funeral, and Bon Scott's dad's like, "Y'all better keep going."
Yes, that's it. That's true.
Y'all I know you probably
too.
want to stop because of my son. I get that. Nah.
Yeah.
Y'all better keep going. Find somebody else and make history. And they did that. Because you could easily say, all right, we're not the group without this guy.
Right.
And a lot of bands probably would have did that. But, when you have Slash saying they saved rock and roll in that era, that's high praise. And I get why the album is so popular and big time.
It's a huge record. It crosses over so many things. It took us from rock and roll. It pushed it a little bit. You push a little harder, you get to Motorhead and other hard rock stuff like that. You push a little harder, you can get to heavy metal, Priest, Maiden. You push harder, you get Metallica and Slayer and stuff like that. But AC/DC, man, these songs, Zay, I'm going to tell you, when I go to shows, when I go to concerts and they play this album, anything on this album, like as you're waiting for the next act to come on, there's very few things that buzz a crowd like these songs. It's weird. Play Back in Black, play Hell's Bells. The fans will sing along with every word. They'll play like Shoot to Thrill right before somebody comes on stage, and it just gets the whole place energized.
So, like, is Brian Johnson good with performing Highway to Hell and all that stuff? Like, he still rocks it? Yeah.
Oh, heck yes.
Yeah.
He does a lot of the great old stuff. Yeah, you need to go back and check out Highway to Hell.
Like, I've always known Highway to Hell. I've always known that song.
That's Bon. Let There Be Rock is Bon. That's a great song. You Dig Whole Lotta Rosie, which celebrates having relations with a woman that's a little bigger. Maybe a little bit bigger than some.
Ain't nothing like no big bone woman.
The Jack is a great old Bon Scott song. That's about passing things along to someone in the bedroom that they may not want to receive. One of the original STD rock songs. That's fantastic. If you go check out some old Bon Scott. So there you go. You got a grade for me on Back in Black?
8.5.
Going to 8.5. You are a hard grader. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's good.
You are
Some
a tough
of the songs were similar, only 10.
Yeah.
8.5. Love the classics.
8.5. Hell's Bells to Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution is Back in Black. All right, there you go. Our album swap. Now, next week, Zay, I think I'm gonna send you down the country road, not just any country road, my kind of country road. I think I'm going to have you listen to Chris Stapleton next week. I think we're going to go with a Chris Stapleton record.
Okay.
You got anything in mind for me? Do I need to go? Is it more Wu-Tang? What am I doing?
No, we got to get out of New York. I want to go to Texas.
Okay.
I don't know yet. If your Specs text line, hit us up in the next few days about what Houston, Texas rapper and what album I should put Chad on.
Okay, so you want to go Houston. So
I want to go Houston. I want to
UGK
change
is
up
Houston.
The vibe. Yep. That's
Ghetto Boys is Houston.
Ghetto Boys, Lil Kiki, Slim Thug, maybe some Paul Wall, Mike Jones. List goes on. Maybe a Screw Tape, like an old school Screw Tape.
Okay.
Little Flip. Who knows?
You let me know. You let me know. We'll get into that next week. Album swap. We'll do it on Thursdays here in the non-football time, but football is coming. 16 days away from the spring game. Up next, Stems and Seeds. Before we get out of here, Ball Don't Lie is coming up. Longhorn Blitz podcast at 7 o'clock right here on the Horn. This is Chad. Let's talk Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play fantasy sports. I've got one of the Final Four games pulled up on my phone right now on the Underdog app. How about Janelle Davis of FAU? 13.5 points, higher or lower? Or maybe you like the rebounds. 5.5 rebounds, higher or lower? They've got different choices for that game and the UConn-Miami game. That's all you do. You pick whether your favorite players are going to have the higher or lower stat total in those games. When the Final Four cranks up, for your chance to win big. You could win up to 20 times your money in a single night. Pick between 2 to 5 players, build that pick'em entry, and if you get them all right, you win. You can also make the rivals picks, which pits 2 players against each other. Check out the pick insurance option that I always talk about, which gets you a better chance to win as well. Sign up today with the promo code HORN and get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register with my promo code HORN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Must be 18 or over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. It's the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. Get you a pick'em game going with the Final Four at Underdog Fantasy. All right, let's go Stems and Seeds. Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. Opening day in baseball. Aaron Judge has already hit a home run. Braves and Nats are already in the top of the ninth. Braves are up 4-2. How about the Phillies and Rangers? Just about to get started. Rangers all season long on 1260 and 1019, and it is Jacob deGrom taking on Aaron Nola. Jacob deGrom, come on, my brother. I finally get to root for deGrom. Zay, I'm excited about this.
Yeah, he got paid a lot of money to be there, and shout out to the Rangers for making their pitching rotation a lot better than what we've seen in the recent years. Maybe they can make some noise in that AL.
We will keep our eyes peeled for some football and basketball stuff. We'll get into some breakdown of the Final Four a little bit more tomorrow on a Friday show, last day of March. And also, you got NBA things going on. We got Texas football we're getting ready for around these parts. We will continue to look for all those big stories out there. There was one other thing I was going to mention today. Yeah, we hit that. Oh, that's not good. Verlander to the IL with a muscle strain?
Damn.
We just got started.
Already?
Come on now. I know what I wanted you to talk about. Brandon Miller entering the NBA draft. Does that make sense to you from Bama?
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
That's easy for him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gonna be a top 5 pick.
Does anybody come back anymore? Anybody?
I mean, why would you?
We coming back? How about Dylan Mitchell? Should he come back?
He should come back. He ain't no Brandon Miller.
Yeah, that game is wonderfully raw right now, but man, could he develop. He could help himself a lot if he comes back, right?
Yeah.
Could help
absolutely.
that positioning.
Yeah, and he's still young enough where the NBA could take a chance on him. Yes.
But let's be clear, Brandon Miller's going to get drafted where? Like second or third overall, right?
Top
Pretty
5.
quick? Okay.
Top 5.
Top 5, so he's got to go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's going to get it, take the advantage. Still Wembanyama at the top. Anybody even close to him?
No. Not even close.
Dude, I saw a couple of highlights of him recently. Good Lord.
Yes, basically a 7'5" Kevin Durant with Rudy Gobert's defensive ability.
And the dribbling, the just everything, the ball handling skills, like all of it.
Stupid.
It's just so silly. All right, we'll be back tomorrow for a Friday